I pledge my eternal gratitude to any law nerd who would edit and combine original Emily's live coverage of this trial with Sidebars coverage at specific moments. That sounds like a doctoral project.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If I could have you move your water down by your chair and just not have anything there. If we get electronics, if we mess up the electronics, I get in trouble. So thank you. I hope you like the seat that you're in. I'd like you to stay in that seat for the duration. I'd appreciate it. I hope you had a good evening. All right. Thank you. And thank you for being punctual today. I appreciate it. You can have a seat. All right. Are we ready with opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. My name is Ben Chu. My colleagues and I from Brown Rudnick are truly honored to represent the plaintiff in this case, Johnny Depp. No one had ever in 5 decades accused Johnny Depp of being violent with a woman. No one had ever accused Mr. Depp of being violent with a woman. He had been in other long-term relationships. He had children.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
Ms. Bredehoff. Objection, Your Honor. The court. Excuse me? Ms. Bredehoff, may we approach? Sidebar. Ms. Bredehoff, one of the motions in limine that we had was that he couldn't say that he was or was not abused by somebody else without having the proper foundation to the court. We didn't have that. I mean, Mr. Chu, yes, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but that was specifically ruled on. It was denied. Come on, you know it was denied. The court. We have the agreed order, right? Mr. Chu, yes, it was denied. I'm an officer of the court. That was clearly denied. She knows that. Ms. Bredehoff, it's subject to foundation, Your Honor. He has no witnesses, the court. But it's the opening statements. We didn't say anything they couldn't say in opening statements. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. The court. Thank you. Open court.
No one, as I stated before, no one had ever, in 5 decades, no one had ever accused Johnny Depp of being abusive of any kind with a woman. That's why it was such a jolt.
But an article, an op-ed appeared on the Sun Times in London. They called him a wife beater. It was written by Dan Wooten, the CEO, or the chief editor of the Sun at the time. And he
Maybe
is
Elon Musk
writing
is obsessed with
because
Johnny
Depp is being cast in Fantastic Beasts 3. And so the article
Depp's
is,
team
why
can.
is J.K.
Yes, Carol.
Rowling genuinely...
Your Honor, may we approach?
Mr. Chu, Your Honor, may we approach? The court. Yes. Sidebar. The court. We're going into the UK issues here. Miss Bredehoff, just the judgment. The court. No, we're not going into anything in the UK. Miss Bredehoff, Your Honor, the court. In those statements, I made it perfectly clear in the motion in limine, we're not going to, especially in opening statements, we're not going to talk about the UK judgment in the opening statement. Later on, you can get into it, Miss Bredehoff. I wasn't talking about the judgment. I'm talking about the lawsuit. That's different. The court. No. When we get to the lawsuit, that talks about the UK judgment. Where are you going with it then if you're not going to do it, Miss Bredehoff? Because he's already been called that. The court. No. That's a judgment by the judgment. I mean, you're going right, Miss Bredehoff. No. It's not the judgment. It's the lawsuit. They never moved the court. The lawsuit is the judgment, period. Miss Bredehoff, you're not going to go into it, period. Miss Bredehoff, Your Honor, I think they also opened the door, Your Honor. The court. They did not. It's opening statements. He did not open the door. Miss Bredehoff, Your Honor, it's very clear in the motion in limine that they only asked for the judgment, not the lawsuit. The court. The lawsuit is the judgment. It's the same thing. Miss Bredehoff, I hope I didn't have to say that to you. Ms. Baruch, I apologize, Your Honor, but I respectfully disagree. The court. No, it's the opposite thing. You have to move on, okay? Mr. Chu. Thank you, Your Honor. Open court.
And the reason that they're approaching on this is because there has probably been pretrial motions regarding the UK stuff, and she's starting to get into it. Some of the UK rulings are not going to be allowed in here, and some of the UK lawsuit is not going to be allowed in here. I hate not being able to hear what they say when they approach. I'm so curious. Like, you don't have to let the jury know, let us know. Ma'am, we went over this. We went over this. No, we went over this. This is me doing very, very bad lip reading. We went over this in the motions in limine. This would have been discussed. It was brought up in numerous motions. And the judge, look at the judge. I told you, that's the face I'm saying. I told you about the UK litigation. I told you.
So you will hear testimony.
Yep, she had to move on.
Let me back up a little bit.
Yeah,
So
back up because you lost.
You have heard from Mr.
he
Depp's
won
team that they are going
the
to claim that
objection.
Amber Heard abused Johnny Depp. You also are hearing
And it
from
rattled her a
them
little bit.
that he says that she cut off his finger.
Okay, so we just finished opening statements and the jury takes a break. The court, all right, whereupon the jury entered the courtroom and the following proceedings took place. The court, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, your first witness, Mr. Chu. We call Christi Dembrowski. The court, Christi Dembrowski. Mr. Chu, yes. The court, all right. Christi Dembrowski, is she outside? Mr. Chu, she is. The court, okay. And then we have her sworn in, and we now begin examination by counsel for the plaintiff and counterclaim defendant.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Dembrowski. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Elisa Christine Dembrowski.
Ms. Dembrowski, what relationship, if any, do you have with Johnny Depp?
He's my younger brother.
What was Johnny like as a young boy?
Objection, Your Honor, 404.
If you want to approach.
Mr. Chu, what was Johnny like as a young boy? Mr. Rottenborn, objection, Your Honor, 404. The court, if you want to approach. Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, it's lack of character evidence. Mr. Chu, Your Honor, it's just background. Mr. Rottenborn, Your Honor, he's going to get up and say he was gentle and he wasn't violent and all this stuff, and that can't come in under 404. It's used to prove action and conformity therewith. The court. Right now, all I heard was just information about his background. I mean, I assume we're not getting into that he was gentle. Mr. Chu, no, it's really we're getting into, it's relevant for both their background as far as the abuse, which is where we're going. Mr. Rottenborn, okay, well, when he starts asking questions and eliciting testimony about how he's transforming, he'd never heard a fly. The court, he said that's not where he's going, so we have notice for that. Okay, thank you. And then Mr. Chu continues.
As I was saying, Ms. Dembrowski, what was Johnny like as a little boy?
He was a shy, sweet little boy. He had a very caring personality, but also he was a little bit of a clown. He loved to, play tricks on us or try to scare us. He was a very typical happy little boy. There were times when she would come and visit our mom, I would see her then, I would see the two of them then. I didn't really spend a tremendous amount of time with her.
Had you formed any impression of Miss Heard at that time based on your observations?
I did. I did. Look, I didn't know her very well, and I would spend time. Like I said, she would come to my mom's house.
Object on 404. What was your impression of Amber?
Based on her observation, she's describing what she observed, Your Honor.
Doesn't matter. It's still 404.
I don't think that's right, Your Honor. I think she's describing what she observed.
Right. We want to approach for a moment. We'll start.
To the court. All right, do you want to approach for a moment? Sidebar. So you can describe what they observed, but if she's getting into, she was unfriendly, she was standoffish, these characterizations can't come in. If she was just observing, I saw her and him holding hands, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just her observations, she can't characterize them because that is character evidence. Mr. Rottenborn, it's her impression of Miss Heard. That's not the court. So I think you need to reform the question so it's just observations, just the observations, okay? Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor, the court. Okay, back to open court.
Did there come a time when your brother and Miss Heard started to live together?
Yes.
And when did that occur approximately, if you recall?
I don't recall the timing. I don't recall the time frame. I believe they had moved downtown to the Eastern Columbia building.
Moving ahead 2 years in time, did you see Miss Heard's Washington Post op-ed when it was published in December 2018?
Yes.
What did you think Ms. Heard's op-ed was about?
Relevance.
It's entirely relevant. They're trying to argue somehow that people didn't understand what the op-ed meant. We heard an opening where there was...
Mr. Rottenborn, relevance. Mr. Chu, it's entirely relevant. They're trying to argue somehow that people didn't understand what the op-ed meant. We heard an opening where there was...
I want you to approach,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
The court, I want you to approach. Sidebar. Mr. Chu, yes, ma'am. The court, what is her opinion of the op-ed? How is that relevant? Mr. Chu, what was, not her opinion, but what did she think about? What did she think it was about? He's arguing that because it didn't, the court, but that's still her opinion of what she thought it was about. Mr. Chu, right, but I mean, they are trying to argue that people didn't understand that this was about Johnny Depp. I mean, she's a human being. The court, I understand, but I'll sustain the objection, okay? Mr. Chu, thanks. The court, back to open court.
Ms. Dembrowski, have you had any discussions with your brother about the op-ed?
Yes.
Object to anything after the yes is hearsay.
I'm not sure if it is or not.
It's a yes or no question.
Okay, all right, next question.
Ms. Dembrowski, I'd like to direct your attention to the four texts in the middle of the page. If you look in the from column, there's a name that says Christi Dembrowski and it has a number. Is that your number?
Yes.
And are those texts from you to your brother, Johnny Depp?
Yes.
And those texts were sent on or about February 5th, 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 214.
Any objection to 214?
Can I just say something?
No,
though?
just wait, ma'am. Just wait for a
I'm
question.
The court, any objection to 214? The witness, can I just say something? The court, no, just wait, ma'am.
Yes, sure.
Mr. Chu, object, Your Honor. May we approach the court? Yes, sir. Sidebar. The court. It seems to be more than the four texts on here, though. Mr. Chu, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to say. Mr. Rottenborn, I just told Heather to start with what you see. Mr. Chu, well, that's one problem. And then one problem is that there's a lot of other messages on that. The court, right. I mean, it has to just be redacted. Mr. Chu, and there are a lot of personal identifiers, the court, with the phone numbers. Mr. Rottenborn, I mean, what do we do about it? The court, we can redact the phone numbers. She's already agreed that she sent these texts and they're texts between her and Mr. Depp, so I don't want to have the phone numbers out. Mr. Rottenborn, why don't we have the text and date out and we don't even need this in the from column for today. Maybe we'll figure something out for tomorrow. Well, the court, well, I need a redacted copy from you and a hard copy before you can post it to the jury. Like, you can't publish it to the jury today if you don't have the redacted copy. Mr. Rottenborn, can we display if she's able to get the column with the text and the court? If she can get just the column, I think she's trying to do it just with Mr. Rottenborn. Yeah, you can see it. The court, well, she would have to explain who's talking to who because you don't see that without the numbers column. Mr. Rottenborn, right, I'll ask the witness that. The court, but she can move it over. Would she have an objection to that? She's starting to move it over. She's included just those four to not being identifiers. Not sure what that means. Mr. Rottenborn, yeah, I'll take out the identifiers. Sorry about that. The court, that's fine. And this can only be an exhibit tomorrow. We were going to have to do these. I understand that. So if she can just get this one column and then that's the next column is the one that you want, Mr. Rottenborn, yeah, just those two. The court, so all the identifiers will be gone. It will just be the two texts. Mr. Chu, that would solve the problem. I still think it's unfairly prejudicial. The court, I understand that. I'll overrule that. But if you can just observe just that part of it, just show that to the jury. You owe me that redaction tomorrow, okay? Mr. Rottenborn, okay. The court, if you can just get those to me. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. And we're back to open court.
Apologize for the delay, Judge.
All right, so you're moving in 214 will receive it redacted? That's
yes, Your Honor.
correct? Okay. Over objection, that's fine. And you wanted to publish just the redacted parts, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine. Right now you just have the dates up. Is that what you want to start with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can publish
Thank
that to
you.
the jury.
So you were telling him on February 5th, 2014 to stop drinking, stop coke, and stop pills, right?
I wrote the words.
And did you have any reason to believe when you wrote that Mr. Depp had been on a bender recently?
I don't recall writing this, so I don't recall the context of it. I understand that the words are there, but I don't recall the timing or the writing of it. I don't recall anything about it necessarily.
You weren't joking when you wrote that, right? It wasn't a joke, right?
I probably was not joking, but you know, maybe I was repeating something that someone else told me to write.
You were telling your brother to stop drinking, stop cocaine, and stop pills because you believed that he had a problem with drinking cocaine and pills, correct?
I didn't believe he had the problem as much as someone else was trying to make me believe that he had the problem.
Did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Depp had been on a recent bender?
I didn't witness benders. I don't, you know what I mean? So I'm not involved in the benders.
Understood. I'm asking, at the time when you sent these 3 text messages on February 5th, 2014, did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Depp had been on a recent bender?
I couldn't tell you about February, whatever date that is back then, and what I would know at this moment.
Did you have any reason to be worried about Mr. Depp when you sent these texts?
Again, I don't know what was happening in life at that time. I don't recall that period, the dates. I don't recall I don't recall anything about that time. These texts, I know what the words are, but I don't know what the context is of them.
Would it refresh your recollection perhaps to see other text messages that you sent on or around this time to determine whether or not you were worried about Mr. Depp?
If there's other context, I guess. I don't know.
Why don't we do this? Heather, can you please pull up Exhibit 210? Your Honor, may I approach?
All right.
Thank you.
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, I just want to preview now. The court, all right. What do we have here? Mr. Rottenborn, she says that she doesn't know whether she was worried about him, so I'm going to ask her. About some of these texts, but obviously I'm just trying to short circuit some objections here. The court. So these are texts between Amber, Mr. Chu. They're Amber's statements. This is a most, Mr. Rottenborn. Well, I'm going to ask about her statements, Mr. Chu. Dubious kind of hearsay. So he was saying, these are Amber's statements. This is a most, and then dubious kind of hearsay, but Mr. Rottenborn cut him off. The court. My question first is, who are these texts from? Mr. Chu, I'm sorry, Amber. Mr. Rottenborn, between Amber and Christi. The court. Amber and this witness. Just making sure. Get nomenclature together. You guys have been living there a lot longer. I want to make sure. Mr. Chu, they're clearly hearsay. The court. Okay, I see what your objection is going to be. What's your basis? Miss Bredehoff. I guess Elaine has jumped in. So I'm going to ask Miss Dembrowski about her texts. Obviously, that's not hearsay. The court. Are you offering them into evidence, or are you just, Mr. Rottenborn? Yeah, I'm offering them into evidence. I mean, she says, I don't love any of it. The court. I mean, how do you get them in without Mr. Chu? You can't. It's a dialogue, and it's the same thing we talked about, Mr. Rottenborn. Well, they're Miss Dembrowski. I'm going to ask her about them. The court. I understand you're going to ask her about these statements. I understand those are her statements. But how are you going to get them into context if you're not getting Mr. Rottenborn? Well, I don't know. And that's why I wanted to preview. What's funny is that Elaine also does this thing about wanting to preview later on in the trial during sidebars. So that's funny. Well, I don't know. That's why I wanted to preview. Because I have to be able to ask her about these contemporaneous... I guess this should be plural writings, contemporaneous writings that she made, particularly that our impeachment were 787. She just said she doesn't know if she was worried about what she texted on page 2. She said, quote, I don't love any of this behavior, end quote. She tells Amber, quote, worry about everything, end quote. Mr. Chu, this is all, Your Honor, I mean, will you let me talk? The court, go ahead. Everybody, it's late. I know, sunshine. Mr. Chu, he's the bad Ben, Your Honor. We all know that. This is wild. Mr. Rottenborn, they're not hearsay, so I'm going to ask her about that. The court, I think you can ask her about that, quote, did you recall texting with Miss Heard where you said that you were worried about him, end quote. I think that's fine. And if she doesn't remember, you can show her the text yourself. But if she doesn't have a memory, I don't see how you can get these texts in evidence. Mr. Rottenborn, well, I'm going to try it one more time. The court, so far you haven't done it. Okay. Mr. Rottenborn, but I want to preview this. The court, that's all right. That's fine. Mr. Rottenborn, these when she says, quote, no one told me, no one ever told me that he was on a recent bender, end quote. That's impeachment. That's not going to hearsay. I mean, I can impeach. This sounds just like Elaine's sidebars later. I mean, I can impeach the witness and bring in other evidence, and that contradicts that witness's testimony. So when she's up there telling the jury, quote, I don't know why I sent these texts, end quote, then what she's telling us, I mean, Amber had just told her he's a bender. And she's saying, quote, I have no idea. No one ever told me this. I have no idea, end quote. And so if texts like this come in, they're coming in for impeachment, not for hearsay. Yeah, so okay. The court, all right, so are you, but if she says, quote, yes, I recall doing these texts, but yes, now I remember, she told me he was on a bender, so that's why I sent them, end quote, or something. Are you saying these texts still come in, even though she's admitted to it? That's confusing. Mr. Rottenborn, yeah, the court. But she might not. Mr. Rottenborn, yeah, maybe not. Maybe we can take it back. The court, yeah, if she doesn't admit to it, then I think you can do intrinsic evidence. But if, even after showing them to her, if she says no, I think you have a basis for putting them into evidence, not for hearsay. There will be limiting instructions later that it's not here for the truth of the matter. I'm not sure what all these says, I guess it should be say, but Mr. Rottenborn, I'm sorry, the court, but I mean, it's a bender. She's talking about a bender. I think it's clear we're talking about a bender, just saying. There are statements in that, then that would be an issue. Mr. Rottenborn, I don't know, and that's going to, Mr. Chu, well, virtually everything coming from Miss Heard is out. The court, well, I mean, we'll have to parse it. It won't be able to come in today, but you can definitely talk to her about it, and then we can figure out on our own what actually would be able to come in. You can talk to her about it and show her that's fine. You just won't be able to show it to the jury. Probably supposed to be get it into evidence today. Does that make sense? Mr. Rottenborn, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to, Mr. Chu, as to reserving all our objections on this, I knew he was going to say that. The court, all your objections, Mr. Chu, because this is widely hearsay and the least reliable. The court, it would have to be redacted for sure, but at least today she might say, quote, yes, now I recall, unquote. That would be double negativity, okay? Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Chu, thank you. The court, no, that's fine. Back to open court.
You wanted to redact it out of the word bender, not the last two words that
That's exactly right. Not the last two words and not the sentence above it, and not any of the sentences below it or any of the other texts, but Ms. Dembrowski's text come in, but you got to just take out her phone number for me. Okay? So if you can you owe me that, and I'll allow the redacted one into evidence, and you can owe that to me tomorrow, okay? And you also owe me 214 tomorrow too, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. One on that one. If we redact we only show the last two columns. If we redact the personal identifiers, can we then show the other columns that correspond to the text that you?
That as long as the personal identifiers was what the objection was. So if you could do that for just the 4.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And get rid of the others. Okay. All right. That's all I had. Yes, ma'am. You had something. Okay.
All right. Sidebar, Ms. Baruch. Your Honor, as jury was shuffling out the second to the end on the front, the court, that juror, Ms. Baruch, that juror went like this, bye, to Johnny Depp, and he waved back at him. Miss Vasquez, it was not to him. Ms. Baruch, it was to Johnny. Miss Vasquez, it was not. The court, okay. Miss Vasquez, it was generally in our direction, to the courtroom. The court, well, I can give instruction tomorrow first thing when the jury comes in to make sure they understand that they can have no contact or no information to anybody. Miss Vasquez, he was standing out of respect, as Your Honor told us, and he just looked generally in our direction. The court, I didn't see it, so I don't know, but I will pay attention to it. But I will give them instruction tomorrow just to make sure they understand about that again, and I'll pay attention to it. And if it is something that we think is a problem, as the days go on, we do have alternates for a reason, so we can work from that. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Bredehoff, and Mr. Depp waved back to him. She's still they finished this conversation already. And Mr. Depp waved back to him, and he went, bye, back. The court, if you would instruct your client, we could do that. Mr. Chu, okay, thank you, Your Honor. Back to open court.
Anything else for this evening?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
So we're here on day 3, and so this is Miss Dembrowski, Johnny's sister. Cross-examination continues here.
I just want to remind you that you're still under oath at this time, okay? All right, you want to continue with your cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Dembrowski.
Good morning.
Did you ever have reason to believe from anyone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
Overruled for this question. We'll see at the follow-up. Okay.
I'm sorry?
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
I never had reason to believe that.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp had fundamental issues with anger?
Okay.
Mr. Chu, Your Honor, may we approach the court? Okay. Sidebar. Mr. Chu, he's reading from a document, a hearsay document, so the court, I don't know what he's reading from. He's just asking a question at this point. I assume if he tries to get something in, that's a different issue. Mr. Chu, okay. The court, let's see where, okay. Mr. Chu, okay. Back to open court.
Reason to believe from someone other than Amber that your brother had fundamental issues with anger?
I didn't have reason to believe.
And did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that your brother didn't grasp the responsibility that he had in his children's lives?
I did not have reason to believe.
Heather, can you pull up Exhibit 268, please? Ms. Dembrowski, if you can take a look at the first page of that email, please, in the second paragraph. So when you said he needs help, that's what you were referring to, is that you believe that your brother needed help with pills.
Objection, Your Honor. This has been asked and answered.
May I approach, Your Honor?
All right.
Mr. Chu, objection, Your Honor. This has been asked and answered several times. I remember this. It had been asked and answered several times. Mr. Rottenborn, may I approach, Your Honor? The court, all right. Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, it's not hearsay. The court, he said asked and answered, which it has been. She's not giving you the answer that you want. I understand that. He objected, asked, and answered. Mr. Rottenborn, it's also the court. It's a prior inconsistent statement. I understand that. That's why I'm letting her testify to it, but it doesn't come into evidence. Makes sense? Mr. Rottenborn, makes sense. Mr. Chu, he has a tendency just to beat the horse. The court. If you object to ask an answer, then I will either sustain or overrule. Mr. Chu, okay. Thank you. Your, I'm guessing, honor? Yes, honor. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you. Back to open court.
Can you pull up page 937, please? And when you misheard the text at the top of the page at 9:20 p.m. on May 25th, 2014, and you said, I just meant I will help in getting him help, what did that mean?
It's help with Dr. Kipper, I believe.
You were referring to getting your brother help for his drug addictions, correct?
I was referring to getting him help with the medication that he was on.
And if you go to page 938, please. When you told Amber at the bottom of that page at 10:26 p.m., I think you need to tell him you are scared and you can't deal. What did you mean by that? I think you need to tell him you are scared and you can't deal. What did you mean by that? I'm asking her what she meant with one of her statements. It's no different from the statement I just asked her about.
I'm just not sure what the prior inconsistent statement would be for this, which was,
Well, that she's testified that all of Amber's concerns were overblown.
okay.
Sidebar. Mr. Chu, Your Honor, this is not a prior inconsistent statement. Mr. Rottenborn. She testified that all of Amber's concerns were overblown, and here she is telling her, I think you need to tell him you're scared. This is the last question I'm going to ask her, and then I will move on from the document. Mr. Chu. Just because it's the last question doesn't make it appropriate. Good point. The court. I'm going to sustain the objection. Mr. Rottenborn. Okay. Back to open court.
You were concerned for your brother and your brother only. Is that right?
I was concerned for my brother, yes.
And only your brother. Is that right?
That my brother was my focus.
All right, so we're here with Mr. Baruch.
Did you learn at some point in time that Ms. Heard had filed for divorce from Mr. Depp?
Say that again?
Did you learn at some point in time that Ms. Heard had filed for divorce from Mr. Depp?
Yeah.
How did you learn that?
I learned it from the internet. After the weekend, around probably Monday, either Sunday or Monday, I'm on the internet and I end up seeing a picture of, it was the Friday of that week, the past week, and there's a picture of Amber wearing a black morning dress and with this brown mark on her cheek, and that she's been to a divorce. She went to go file for divorce. That's how I found out.
Were you surprised when you saw that?
Surprised is not the word. It's like, what the hell is this? What's going on?
At any point when you had seen her during that prior week, had she told you that she intended to file for divorce?
Objection, lady.
I'll allow it. Go ahead. You can answer the question, sir.
What's the question again?
At any point when you had seen her during that week, had Ms. Heard told you that she intended to file for divorce?
No. She never once. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday or Friday, not even see it? No. There's no, I'm clueless. She did not say anything about divorce.
So what did you think when you saw those pictures and read the articles and learned that she was filing for divorce?
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, objection, relevance to what he thought.
It builds on all of the testimony he's given previously, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
When did you see Ms. Heard next after that?
She knocks on my door June 3rd, Friday night, June 3rd. She knocks on my door around 11 o'clock. Is the next time that I see her.
And what happened when she knocked on your door on June 3rd?
I opened up the door, and naturally, something I'll say is, hey, how you doing? To say hello. So I open up the door, say, hey, how you doing? And she looks at me and she says, I'm not feeling so hot that I made some food. Would you like to come over and eat with me? And at that point, after, everything I've seen, I looked at her and I said, listen, me and you, we're not going to talk anymore. After everything that I've just seen all week long, from the past week and change, listen, I'm confused, I'm angry, and I'm frustrated by everything that I've seen. And that I think the best thing is for me and you that we don't talk anymore.
Did she say anything in response?
Yes, in response to that, she looks at me and she says, I told Johnny I don't want anything. The lawyers are making me do all of this. And that's what she said.
Did you respond to Ms. Hurd?
No, what I was thinking was that to me, after saying that, after she said that to me, I'm thinking to myself, gay cock'em yum, hey, how,
I'll sustain that objection. Next question.
Did you see any injuries on Ms. Hurd's face on June 3rd when you spoke with her?
No.
Did you ever speak with Ms. Hurd again after that?
Well, she said to me after that the lawyers are making me do all of this. Then I was just looking at her, and then she ended what she was saying by saying, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I closed the door and would never talk to her ever again.
Did you have any interactions with the staff at the Eastern Columbia building about Ms. Hurd's allegations against Mr. Depp?
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay.
Where's the sidebar? Sidebar. Where did you go? I don't see you. Where is it? Aha, okay. Miss Brenhoff. Objection, Your Honor. May we approach the court? Okay. Sidebar. The court. All right. Interactions with staff. Miss Brenhoff. So what she's going to elicit now, and I thought it was better to preview it. Here we go. She's previewing, everybody. To preview it and let Your Honor know. The court. Okay. Miss Brenhoff. What she's going to say is that he spoke with other members of the ECB staff and that they showed him this fake punch video that has never been produced, and even with the lawyers. So I'm going to object to hearsay grounds with any communication with him, but I'm also going to object to his testimony of the actual video and what he says he saw in the video. Yeah, interesting, though, that she's objecting to hearsay as if she knows what that means. Miss LeCarose, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I believe there was a ruling on this. The court, there was, and your objection's been noted to that. He can't testify to hearsay. What they might have communicated to him, Miss LeCarose. And I'm not going to ask that question, the court, so it's just the video. We can move on. Your objection's been noted. Miss LeCarose. Okay, thank you. Miss Baruch, thank you, Your Honor. The court, Back to open court.
Mr. Baruch, did you have any interactions with the staff of the Eastern Columbia building about Ms. Hurd's allegations against Mr. Depp?
Yes.
And at some point, did you see a security video taken in the Eastern Columbia building?
Yes.
When was that?
Sometime in June, maybe 2 weeks in or something like that. It's 2-3 weeks in.
Can you describe what you saw in that video?
Yes, I can. It was a video of Amber and Whitney waiting at the elevator, a mezzanine level, coming from the garage, obviously, and waiting for the elevator. And Whitney does this to Amber. Pow! And hits her, like faking hitting her in the face. Going, pow! And then they start laughing.
Did Ms. Hurd react at all in that video to the fake punch that you observed Whitney throw?
Yeah, she's laughing. After doing it, they both, laughing at with each other.
You peck her on the cheek pretty hard every time?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, I'll sustain the objection if you want the next question.
Okay. You also showed that you did one like this. Did you ever do a two kiss when you greeted Amber? Two cheeks?
No, I'm not European. I'm from Brooklyn.
No.
No, you give, Europeans do the,
All right.
both sides. Sometimes you even three. Bam, bam, bam. But
you never did that.
No.
Do you think you have?
I think I can finish it up if you give
Okay,
me
sure,
5 or
sure.
10 more
No,
minutes.
that's well.
Maybe less.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
hold
you.
you to that. Okay.
I do have another exhibit I need to put in, and
Okay.
I think that might take a little bit longer than a couple of minutes.
Well,
So-
how much time are you talking?
Well, I can do it as fast as I can.
You
but-
can try.
Okay,
good.
then can we pick, Heather, can you pick up, well, it's going to be Plaintiff's Exhibit 548. Now, do you have a recollection of Mr. Depp having a volatile relationship with his earlier partner, Vanessa Paradis?
No, but then again, I wasn't. I met her a couple of times. I wasn't. We weren't. Our paths weren't crossing at that particular time when they were together.
All right. Do you recall Mr. Depp ever referring to a circumstance with her as carnage?
What's the relevance?
We're talking, he's trying to give character testimony here, and I'll tell you what, I'll move to a different
Okay,
one.
all right.
Now, you said that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were, you said that they were always nice to each other?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember Mr. Depp referring to Amber with the term cunt?
Like to her face?
No, to you. Calling her a cunt to you.
Maybe in a text.
All right. Did he do it more than once in a text?
I would have no recollection of that. I mean, he's called me a cunt in a text. So, I mean, it could be. I don't know how many texts. If there's something specific, if you could show me a text, that would be a different story. I don't. We've had many texts together, many
Okay, let's go to line 57 then. It would be section 57 of the exhibit that I have in front of me. Now, this is a text message between you and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
Well, there's 80 million texts on
If you go down to 50, go to the one that's number 57.
Objection, Your Honor.
This is from me to him.
I'm sorry.
May I approach?
Okay, sure.
Sidebar. Miss Liquorose, she's referring to text messages that occurred after the marriage by a number of months, so I'm not sure what the relevance could possibly be of these particular text messages. Miss Bredoff, he's still referring to her in a very, very base way, saying the, C-U-N-T, rotting corpse. The court, she's just talking about the timeline of it, saying it's 2 years later. Miss Bredoff, still, I asked if he ever recalled Mr. Depp referring to her as a C-U-N-T, and he said you would have to show me. The court, he said yes. Miss Bredoff, right. And then I said, did he do it more than once? He said, you would have to show me. The court, yeah. Miss Liquorose, Your Honor, far too much to share. It's a timing. Miss Bredoff, it is timely. The court, I'm going to allow it. Back to open court.
Are you on 57 yet?
57.
Right. And this is to you, correct, from Mr. Depp?
Is that how it's? It says from to 323-445-2400. That used to be my telephone number. So
That's two, correct?
Oh, okay. I understand. I understand.
right.
Yes.
All right. And
That's to me.
all right. And the message he's sending to you, and this is October 18, 2016, is hopefully that comes.
Objection, Your Honor. Exhibit's not in evidence, and she's reading directly from it into the record.
All right.
All right, does this refresh your recollection that Mr. Depp referred to Amber Heard as a cunt, and in fact, cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
Okay, so here we are on day 4.
So, I think before the jury comes out, we do have one issue with Exhibit 2, is it Exhibit 548? Plaintiff's Exhibit 548, okay? So you had offered it to come into evidence, and I know there was an objection, there's a lot of hearsay on it, and so is there a redacted copy for me, or is that something you haven't worked through?
We haven't seen it.
Okay. Okay, that's fine, Mr. Chu. I think it was her witness, but that's fine. Well, I know it's their exhibit, but you're offering it, and so if you're offering it, you have to redact it to basically. I think it's those two.
I wanted to make sure that I was going to bring that up at this point. I wasn't sure the court's ruling, so I didn't know what.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. I know there.
I think we need to work out the details on that, Your Honor.
Okay, if you could work out the details, so you owe me one exhibit, so we'll get that at some point today, right? Or even if, I guess, tomorrow when I see you guys, that's fine. Okay, perfect. All right. Anything else preliminary before the jury? Mr. Rottenborn?
One brief matter, Your Honor. May we approach?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, the court. Okay, perfect. All right. Anything else for me before the jury? Mr. Rottenborn? Mr. Rottenborn, just one brief matter, Your Honor. May we approach the court? Yes, that's fine. Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, I just want to kind of clarify the 48-hour rule that we had agreed to with respect to the witnesses. The court. Okay, for witnesses, Mr. Rottenborn. So 48 hours ago, they sent us an email saying that they anticipated Kate James, Gina Deuters, Laurel Anderson, and Sean Bett. Yesterday afternoon, or yesterday around lunch, they said, quote, given how quickly we're working through the witnesses, we want to maybe add Kipper and Lloyd, end quote. No issue with that, since obviously we want to get through this trial. The court, we've already gone through those depositions, right? Mr. Rottenborn. So I emailed them and I asked for clarification, and I said, quote, do you mean those 2 in addition, or were you planning on to the 4 you were planning on tomorrow, end quote. And yesterday at whenever this afternoon, they said, quote, yes, these are in addition, end quote. Just this morning, they said, quote, oh, well, we're not going to do Sean Bett until Monday, and we're going to replace him with Dr. Kipper, end quote. And I just wanted to get clarification. I mean, if they're going to say they have more time to prepare for Sean Bett, but it's more complex than that because there's a deposition designation. We have to have notice to fight over the exhibits that are going to come in the court, right? Mr. Rottenborn, there's some gamesmanship in them telling me yesterday afternoon at 5:00 p.m., quote, these are in addition, end quote, and then today saying, quote, no, by the way, we're going to take out one of the people in the middle of the day, and it's going to be a live witness, end quote. So I just wanted to raise that with Your Honor, the court. Well, I understand your concerns, but, trials are very fluid, and I think 48 is helpful for everybody, I think. And as long as soon as you know, and I think this will be for your side too, Mr. Chu, we did that, Your Honor. And they will have more time to prepare for the court. Well, I understand that. That's a little bit beside the point. I get the feeling. Mr. Rottenborn, I think the problem was trying to confirm yesterday afternoon, and it's fine for today. The court, okay. Mr. Rottenborn, I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear that the court, right, you're going to do, Ms. Vasquez, we're going to do our very best. The court, very best. Okay. Mr. Chu, Your Honor, there's no gamesmanship. Ms. Vasquez, it's hard, really. The court, okay. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. The court, thank you. Open court.
Okay. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Catherine Olwyn James.
What's your current address? Have you ever spoken with Miss Vasquez before today?
Yes.
When?
I don't recall.
What was the substance of that conversation?
I don't recall.
Was it in the past month?
No.
Was it in the past year?
Yes.
Did you talk about this case?
No.
What did you talk about?
I don't recall.
If you don't recall, how can you recall that you didn't discuss this case? Have you discussed this case or the UK litigation with Mr. Waldman?
Yes, I discussed the UK case with Mr. Waldman.
What did you discuss about the UK case with Mr. Waldman?
Your Honor, can we stop this, please?
Okay.
I don't recall.
Can you pause, please?
No details whatsoever that you recall?
No.
Did Miss?
You could, there you go. All right, you want to approach?
Sure.
I'm not sure.
Sidebar. The court. I'm not sure. Mr. Rottenborn, this doesn't have all the testimony that Your Honor let in. This is biased testimony that the court, hold on, okay. Mr. Rottenborn, sorry. Your Honor let in this testimony that goes to bias, and they didn't put it in the video. Ms. Vasquez, we sent it to Planet Depots, and the videos are sent to both sides. The court, did you review this video ahead of time? Mr. Rottenborn, I didn't. Oopsies. I mean, they're the ones responsible for preparing it. I think you're supposed to review it. I mean, I would ask that this be at least read for the jury by the court. That's fine. Any objection to that? Ms. Vasquez, no, of course not. Mr. Chu, no objection. The court, but I mean, both sides need to get Mr. Rottenborn, we will do our best to try to confirm, but I mean, Ms. Vasquez, we didn't do anything. We sent you the transcripts. We sent both sides the transcript. Mr. Chu, I'm not blaming. I just want to make sure the court, okay. Mr. Chu, we have no objection to that. The court, do you want to read that now, or would you like to wait? Mr. Rottenborn, yes. The court, okay, all right. And if you see any other issues, let me know. Mr. Rottenborn, okay, how would you like us to read it? The court, I will just tell the jury that there are additional parts of the deposition that you're going to read into the record. Is that okay if you read it in? Mr. Rottenborn, yeah. And do you want, because this came in too, so do you want me to read up to there? I think your counter? Ms. Vasquez, okay, sure, that's fine, thank you. The court, sure. Okay, Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. Open court.
Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to the video deposition, there are some extra statements that this witness made that aren't part of the video, but is part of her testimony. So Mr. Rottenborn is just going to read those into the record and for you as well, okay?
Question. Have you spoken with Adam Waldman before? Answer, yes. Question. When was the last time you spoke with him? Answer, I don't recall. Question. How many times have you spoken with him? Answer, I would say somewhere around 10 times total. Question. Have you spoken with him in 2022? Answer, yes. Question. What was the substance of that conversation? Answer, friendly banter. Question. About what? Answer, nothing to do with the case at all. Question. What was it about? Answer, we have gotten to know each other, and, you know, I was on vacation, said Happy New Year, that's it. Question, did you call him or did he call you? Answer, I didn't call him. Question, did you text him? Answer, I sent a message saying Happy New Year to a lot of my friends. Question, over text? Answer, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, you can continue the video.
Waldman assist you in preparing your witness statements for the UK litigation?
No.
Did you exchange drafts of those statements with Mr. Waldman?
No.
Who did you send those drafts to?
Shillings.
Is every word in those witness statements words that you drafted?
Yes.
Did anyone provide edits to those witness statements for your consideration?
I'm very good at my own editing, I can assure you.
That didn't answer my question. Did anyone else provide edits to those witness statements for your? Well, I'm trying to understand what your testimony is. Maybe you could clarify for me, Ms. James. Is your testimony that you never saw firsthand evidence of Johnny being violent to Amber, that it couldn't have happened?
That's not what I said. You're trying to put words into my mouth. I don't appreciate that.
Can you pull up the document that is, well, let me see what it ends with here. It's the Depp 11432, please.
Showing Exhibit 4 on the screen.
Could you pause for a moment,
I'll
please?
direct your attention to the,
Okay.
This is a document that we're just looking for the corresponding trial exhibit. If you could just bear with us for 1 minute, and then we'd like to move for admission of it.
All right, what's the number on it?
That's what we're trying to figure
Okay.
out. Sorry for the delay. Your Honor, it's trial exhibit 844.
All right, and that's defendant's 844?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 844. Any objection to 844?
Or any objection to 844? Ms. Vasquez, yes, Your Honor. Many objections. All right, you want to approach then? If somebody has a copy of 844 for me, we'll get it. Mr. Rottenborn, we can pull it up electronically, the court. That's all right, we'll get it.
All right, if you want to approach then. If somebody has a copy of 844 for me. Oh, we'll get it. We'll get 844. That's all right. Oh, we'll get it.
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, it's just a lot of text that we're looking to admit, so obviously we could redact all of it. Mr. Chu, could you wait until we get up here before you start addressing? Mr. Rottenborn, sure, sorry. The court, all right, 844. Okay, I have 844. All right, so are you asking to move this into evidence? Mr. Rottenborn, with just the bottom text with everything else redacted. The court, just this one text? Mr. Rottenborn, yes, Your Honor. The court, who is this with? Mr. Rottenborn, it's Mr. Depp's writing, Miss James. If you want to do it in a couple minutes when she testifies that it's a text from Mr. Depp to her, we can do that. The court, is it the second page? Because this one says Miss Dembrowski. Mr. Rottenborn, he texted Chris Dembrowski is Mr. Depp. What? The court, okay, I did not know that. Sorry. Okay, so you want this one text. She's about to say that she got this text from Mr. Depp. Mr. Rottenborn, yes, Your Honor. Ms. Vasquez, may we? Sorry, Your Honor. Do you have a copy of it? I'm sorry, Your Honor. Court, looks like it's the very bottom. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm so sorry. I'll try to be better. The court, it's Judy's microphone. Oh, poor Judy's microphone. If you break it, you've got to deal with Judy. Mr. Chu, we will definitely not touch Judy's microphone. Ms. Vasquez, yeah, I mean, our objections to this is that it's improper character evidence, Your Honor. They're trying to get in evidence of Mr. Depp's bad behavior via text messages, and yet we can't bring in any evidence of his good behavior. Fair point. The court, well, that's kind of how party admissions go, party opponents go. I mean, it's hearsay, but it's a party opponent. Mr. Chu, but it still goes to character. Ms. Vasquez, well, I understand it still goes to character. We're still saying it's improper character, Your Honor. And you know, to the extent that Your Honor would allow us to bring in a bit more background on Mr. Depp and his good behavior with some of our witnesses, you know, to be able to offer this, Mr. Rottenborn, we'll take that as a, Ms. Vasquez, it's a proper, Mr. Rottenborn. But if he's reaching out to one of the witnesses and saying, quote, come over and we'll, you know, do that, that's party admission and relevance and bias, prejudice, all sorts of things for this extent. I mean, we can take whatever they want to try to get in later, but I don't think, Ms. Vasquez, we just think it's unfairly prejudicial and improper character evidence. The court, I understand your objections. I'm going to overrule the objections. You owe me a redaction for this, though, before we can show it to the jury. Mr. Rottenborn, would it be okay if, for now, we do like we did, we'll prepare a redacted, yeah, because I was about to say, I think they did this the day before. We'll prepare a redacted exhibit, but we do like we did with Ms. Dembrowski's text the other day, where we showed this part right here. The court, okay, any objection to that? Ms. Vasquez, just making sure, the court, just make sure that they show it to you. Ms. Vasquez, yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chu, and if you could have somebody else, and this is not an insult at all, but I mean, if you could have somebody else also look at it and give us a chance to look at it, because last time you and I both missed a personal identifier. Oh, that's a good point. The court, okay, yeah, that's fine. It's that happens so much, I feel like, in trials where something's redacted and something is missed. You know, phone number or something, address, whatever it is. Okay, the problem you'll have to switch it like we did with the security tapes with the other depositions. They can't see her at the same time they see this. You understand? Mr. Rottenborn, okay, why don't we, there's probably a few more questions that will key it up so that they'll know what we're looking at, and then I'll stand up and ask Mr. Nadelhoff, pause the video, the court, and your objections are noted. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. Back to open court.
So just so we have the cast of characters clear, who from this group was in Australia at this point?
So we've got, on the plane that I was on, it was Johnny, Jerry Judge, Stephen Deuters, Debbie Lloyd, and myself, and maybe one other.
Okay. You mentioned a name there I don't think we've heard before. Can you just tell the jury quickly who Debbie Lloyd is?
Okay.
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, we just got, God, he was really active, I feel like, at least initially. I don't remember that being the case later on. Anyway, Mr. Rottenborn, we just got word that this witness has been posting this. Oh, okay. We just got word that this witness has been posting this week on social media facts about this case, her opinion about this case. I just wonder how someone who wasn't around at any point during the relationship considers themselves an expert such as Miss Deuters. Here's a long letter that she posted just this week. Quote, "Our dear friend got a few wins in court this week, and yet some of us continue to belittle him." End quote. Mr. Moniz, I've never seen this, Your Honor. This is not a witness under, the court. Well, she's a witness. She's obviously not supposed to be watching the trial, correct? Mr. Moniz, well, yeah, the court. So I can just ask her questions on that. I will excuse the jury and I'll ask her a couple questions, okay? Mr. Chu, do you want me to send this to Sammy or the court? No, I'm just going to ask her right now. Mr. Chu, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we just have to take a few housekeeping matters up, so we're just going to have you take a recess for a few minutes, okay? So again, no outside research and don't talk to anybody, okay? All right. Ms. Deuters, I just had a question for you. Have you been watching the trial this past week?
I've seen clips of it online, yeah.
You've been watching, so you have seen parts of this trial?
Yeah.
Okay, and witness testimonies?
Yeah, I've seen clips of.
You've seen it, thanks. All right, does anybody have any follow-up questions?
Does anybody have any follow-up questions? I do.
Miss Deuters, have you been watching?
It doesn't matter. She's been watching clips of witness testimony. All right, you're excused, ma'am. You can have your excuse.
Okay.
Thank you. I will instruct the jury. They'll have to strike the testimony of Ms. Deuters. There's a rule on witnesses, Mr. Moniz.
Understood, Your Honor. This is
All
the
right.
first word.
I believe that. I have no doubt in my mind that this is the first you've heard of it. Have a good day, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Baruch, I got it the first time. Thank you.
Ms. Bredehoff, Your Honor, we'll tell them to disregard the court. I got it the first time. Thank you. Your next witness is going to be on deposition, right? Mr. Chu, yes, Your Honor, it's going to be on video at the court. Okay. Did you want to just take the afternoon recess now because we have to bring up the video, Mr. Chu, yes. The court, okay, I'll take the afternoon recess, then I'll instruct the jury, okay? We'll take 15 minutes. Let's come back at 3:15. The bailiff, all rise. Recess is taken.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the court is striking Ms. Gina Deuters' testimony in its entirety from the record, okay? Therefore, the court further instructs you, the jury, to disregard her testimony in its entirety. Understand? All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we are here on day 5, and we have just come back from a morning recess. The bailiff, all rise, please be seated and come to order. All right, the court, all right, I just want to make sure with those exhibits from the last that we're going to get them somehow into evidence or the redacted copies. Do we have them now or do we need them? Miss Myers, I have a hard copy for Your Honor of a copy before we turn it in. The court, not for the newest deposition, for the one we just had with Dr. Kipper. Miss Myers, yes, I have the exhibits. The court, okay. Mr. Nadelhoff, there's one thing, Your Honor, there's one that there's disagreement on that we can address either now or later.
Okay.
There's one that there's a disagreement on that we can address either now or later.
Okay, well, which one do you have a disagreement on? We might as well do it now before we go on to the next deposition.
Sure. So the exhibit is, it's invoices from Dr. Kipper.
What number is it?
I'm sorry, it is
1067 or 1067.
That's correct, and we have no objection to the document coming in. It's just we have a disagreement about the redaction.
All right, if you want to come forward, then maybe we'll take a look at and you said 1067, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, you want to come forward and then we'll take a look at and you said 1067, correct? Mr. Nadelhoff, correct, Your Honor. Sidebar. Miss Myers, it's just we have a disagreement about the redactions. The court, all right, you want to come forward and then we'll take a look at and you said 1067, correct? Mr. Nadelhoff. Miss Myers, it's just we have a disagreement about the redactions. The court, all right, you want to come forward and then we'll take a look at and you said 1067, correct? Mr. Nadelhoff, correct, Your Honor. Sidebar. Mr. Nadelhoft. So we made the redactions on the exhibit. The court, right. Mr. Nadelhoft. So there's the totals at the bottom of each, which we don't have an issue with. They want these redacted, which are that adds up to the total. We don't think they should be redacted because it's a business record. There's no reason. The court, all right, what's the reason to redact them? Ms. Myers, Your Honor, this is a financial record of a third party, and in Dr. Kipper's deposition, his attorney objected strenuously to the level of redaction on these. And so, like I said, we have no objection to the total amounts coming in, but this is sort of private information, like how much he charges for each service. Mr. Nadelhoft. And isn't it like the nursing supervision that's actually, I think the jury should understand how it came out in the final total, and there's really no reason. The court, what's the relevance of how it came out in the final total? I just want to know where you're coming from. Mr. Nadelhoft. So, he testified the nurse. He saw the nurses every day. I think it's relevant for the jury to see that it was $75,000 a month for, I think it's all relevant to how it added up so they can see what the totals are. The court, all right, I'll allow it. That's fine. Ms. Myers, I'm sorry, Your Honor. The court, I'll allow it. Ms. Myers, other than the nursing services, could we redact that? Mr. Nadelhoft, there's really nothing personal here. Ms. Myers, look, I just don't feel comfortable because it's a third party, and I know that there was an objection by Dr. Kipper's counsel. The court, what are you really concerned about? Ms. Myers, I know that personally I am just expressing what Dr. Kipper's counsel expressed to us during the deposition, which was that this is financial information that's protected under California law, and he objected to the itemized services that reflected the cost per service. Mr. Nadelhoft, the jury should, I don't think it's giving away any secrets. The court, I guess because you say how many hours they can figure out the hourly rate. I see the document as one, his hourly rate. I can see that as being an issue. Is that relevant, his hourly rate? It could, did you want to just have what was over here possibly? Mr. Nadelhoft, how many hours and then just not giving the rate? Ms. Myers, I'll stand on our position, but I do accept that we should have some redactions. The court, if we take out the hours, then it's yes. Ms. Myers, but leave the number of services. Yeah. Mr. Nadelhoft, the column on each page. The court, okay, is that fine? Mr. Nadelhoft, yeah. The court, all right, let's do that. All the other ones you have for me? Mr. Nadelhoft, we'll get them back to you. The court, all right, thank you. Ms. Bredehoff, Your Honor, may I approach? The court, okay, sure. I keep going back and forth. Ms. Bredehoft, I just wanted to say on the record that second to the right bottom juror, when we walked in first thing this morning, the court again, Ms. Bredehoft, he said, "Good morning," to Mr. Depp. Mr. Chu, we didn't see that. Ms. Bredehoft, I personally observed it. The court, all right, okay, we're going to probably have to address him at some point. Let me just, it's that same juror again. Mr. Chu, I didn't see a juror saying, "Hello, Mr. Depp." The court, I'm going to watch him through the day. Yeah, but he can't do that, and he's been instructed not to do that. So, Ms. Bredehoff, it's something that what we may want to do is just address it when we get to the arguments at the end. The court, do you want me to, at the end of the day, I could just bring him out personally and talk with him, or are you saying that you want to recuse him based on what you've seen? Ms. Bredehoft, based on what I've seen, I'd like to recuse him. I think he's shown particular personal interest in Mr. Depp and made a point of, one day he was very friendly with him. The court, right. Ms. Bredehoft, the others, and it's still happening. Mr. Chu, he said good morning. He said good morning before he even got to the front table. I don't think there's something that the court, but he said, "Good morning, Mr. Depp." Ms. Bredehoft, he didn't say, "Good morning, Mr. Depp." He said, "Good morning," and looked right at Mr. Depp. He was right there, right? The court, all right, let me just keep an eye on him all day today, and then we can address that. This is a long trial, so I've got time. But I've got to focus more on him. Okay, I will do that. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it. The court, all right, I have exhibits. Ms. Myers, these are the redacted versions of the exhibits that we offered for Dr. Kipper. The court, okay, and there's no objection to these? Mr. Nadelhoft, no objection. The court, okay. Mr. Nadelhoft, the redacted ones. The court, they're redacted. And which is the one that's not redacted that's in evidence? Top of my head? That's interesting. Ms. Myers, I believe it's Mr. Nadelhoft. I believe those have already been admitted. Oh, it was. The court, you said there was one that, Ms. Myers, I have a chart. The court, no redactions, 42. Mr. Nadelhoft, oh yeah. The court, 42. So no redactions for 42, correct? Ms. Myers, that's correct. The court, okay. So that's in evidence without redactions, and these are all the ones with redactions. Mr. Niederhoff, yes, Your Honor. I want to bring up one issue with one of the depositions. The court, from Dr. Kippers, Mr. Niederhoff, from Dr. Kippers. So Dr. Kipper testified that he never recalled Miss Heard seeking medical treatment for any injuries on the island. He said, quote, no, I haven't, end quote. And then he also testified, quote, I never witnessed Amber, end quote. Quote, did she ever seek treatment from you for injuries? Did Miss Heard ever tell you that Mr. Depp abused her, end quote. And he said, quote, no, she didn't, end quote. And you had struck as hearsay him testifying that Amber did tell him about being pushed on the island. The court, okay, Mr. Niederhoff. So I think that's a prior inconsistent statement. Based on what Your Honor said, it would just be the court. You're saying the part that was played was something I had struck? Mr. Niederhoff, no. We played the part, what he said, quote, she never reported to me that he was abused, end quote. But you struck where she tells him, the court, right, I can't go backwards on my deposition designations. The court, or sorry, Mr. Niederhoff. Okay. So then I guess I'm asking that the portion of 268 comes in. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, we've already ruled this. This is a hearsay document, Mr. Niederhoff. I know. And again, it's a prior inconsistent statement. Quote, Amber called us around midnight. After he came home from the house, she claims he pushed her, end quote. I mean, Dr. Kipper said he never got a report. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, they had an opportunity to cross-examine the doctor at the deposition, Mr. Niederhoff, which we did, the court. And they did, and it was taken out. You're saying the part that was taken out, Ms. Myers, respectfully, I don't think you impeached him with this, though. The court, let me see what it says. All right. Mr. Niederhoff, and the next sentence at the top and the answer. The court, okay, all right. I assume you stand on your previous objection. Ms. Myers, absolutely. The court, I understand, but I think based on listening to, which is hard when I don't hear the depositions all the way through, it does sound like this part can be read to the jury when they come back in. Mr. Niederhoff, okay, I just want to make sure that I want to make sure I don't do anything wrong. The court, I appreciate that. Just for impeachment purpose. Mr. Niederhoff, right. The court, because he said he had never, Mr. Niederhoff, right. Where do you want me to start? 16? Ms. Myers, I actually believe that it was Miss Lloyd that was told that and not Dr. Kipper. The court, you know, Mr. Niederhoff, Miss Lloyd told you that, correct? She did tell us that. Yes, the court, tell us that. Oh, okay. She didn't tell him that. He testified, he said he never heard that. Mr. Niederhoff, but he had been told that. The court, I'm going to sustain the objection to leave it out, okay? Mr. Niederhoff, okay, because you're saying us is, I don't understand. He's saying he was never informed, and us includes him. The court, well, we can pull out, we'll have to do this over lunch, but can you pull out what Dr. Kipper, what exactly I allowed in, or you have it? Sounds like everyone's confused. I'm confused, at least. Mr. Niederhoff, yeah, the first, and then I think here, the court, well, this is the island, August 2014, Mr. Niederhoff, which is what this is about. The court, I don't know. Mr. Niederhoff, well, the court, I just want to make sure. Mr. Niederhoff, and then this, did Miss Heard ever tell you that Mr. Depp abused her? Quote, no, she did not, Miss Myers. Your Honor, if they wanted to sort of flesh this out in the deposition, they could have. I believe it's unclear, and I believe that actually the documentary evidence is what technically, Mr. Niederhoff, again, we did, the court, I understand, but we went through all the depositions, we had the time to argue it at that point. I'm going to stay with my initial objections, okay? After all that. Mr. Niederhoff, okay, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Myers, thank you, the court. All right. Back to open court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Baruch, are you ready for the jury? Are you ready for the jury? Okay, I just make sure. That's right, thank you.
Okay, the court. Before we bring the jury in, if I could have counsel approach for a moment. Sidebar. The court. Juror 25, who happens to be the one waving the deputies at lunchtime, said he had a hernia surgery about 2 months ago and he's in a lot of pain. He doesn't feel comfortable sitting here. I'm not sure if that's just today or if that's in general, but Miss Bredehoff, I'm happy to excuse him. The court, I know you are. I think I can bring him out here so we can talk with him and see if I excuse him today, he's excused for the jury. He has to know that. But would you want me to bring him out here so you could talk to him, Mr. Chu? So we wouldn't want to dismiss him immediately. I mean, I just had hernia surgery myself several months ago. I don't have any problems at all, but I know everybody's different. The court, I can bring him out individually. I'll have 25 come out so we can talk to him for a minute. Is that okay? Miss Bredehoff, yes, thank you, Your Honor. The court, we'll just bring him in. Open court. The court, can we get 25?
Can we get 25? Yeah. So you can have a seat. That's fine. Microphone. Maybe if you could just talk real loud for me. Oh, hold on just a minute. I really can't hear you.
I have a hernia problem. That's why I start pain.
Okay. Oh, you have a problem with a hernia.
Yes.
Okay, and it's really bothering you to the point where you can't concentrate.
Yeah, today is, I don't know why it bothered me too much.
I know. But what I want to make sure you understand, if I excuse you today, I'm excusing you from the jury.
I'm trying to go today home and take medicine and rest, get ready for tomorrow.
I can't do that. I can't have that done. We have to keep going.
Okay.
So, I mean, has it been bothering you other days while you've been on the jury?
No, today start now. Never bothered me more than 2 weeks I'm here.
Okay, but it might bother you also tomorrow?
I'm not sure, but I'm trying to do my best to.
I know you're trying to do your best, but I want to make sure you're healthy too. I don't want you to ruin your health for this.
The court. I know you're trying to do your best. I want to make sure you're healthy too. I don't want you to ruin your health for this. She's like, this trial's not worth it.
All right, just sit there for a second. If I can have the attorneys. Or do you have any?
Just sit there for a second. If I could have the attorneys, do you have any follow-up questions? Sidebar. Mr. Chu, did he have surgery? The court. Sounds like he just has hernia problems that bother him 1 to 2 weeks a year. That's what I got from that. Mr. Chu, if it was surgery, it would probably get better. Are you giving him medical advice now? The court. I'm just afraid tomorrow he's going to call in or something, or he's not focusing on the testimony today. Ms. Bredoff, today, he's already saying that today, so I move to excuse him. The court. There's not much you can, I know, female speaker. It's early on, there's not much we can do. Would you like us to ask him if he's able to concentrate? The court. He says that he's pretty pained. I think we just have to cut our losses here on this, Mr. Chu. If it's incarcerated, I have no idea. The court. He needs to go to the doctor, get it checked out. I think it might be worse than he thinks it is. He's not one of our alternates, but what we can do is at some point we'll take one of the names out of the alternate bag and I'll tell you what the name is and that person will be back on the jury. Ms. Bredoff, okay. So the alternates are not in the order that we picked them. The court, they're in an envelope together. Ms. Bredoff, okay, I thought the order in which the court. We could do it that way if you want to. Rather do it that way, you can decide tonight. I'll keep them all in the envelope. Back to open court.
All right. Sir, we just want to make sure you're healthy and everything, so we're going to excuse you from this jury, okay? All right. Just take care of yourself, okay? All right, thank you. All right, you can go back. Thank you. Okay, are we ready for the jury then? All right, thank you. Anything else for this evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Just wanted a point of clarification.
Okay, okay, sure, go ahead.
Perhaps we
Would you
should
like to approach? Okay, sure.
The court, okay, sure, go ahead. Mr. Chu, perhaps we should approach. The court, approach? Okay, sure. Sidebar, the court, yes. Mr. Chu, we have asked about, we do anticipate that Mr. Depp will start his testimony tomorrow, probably be in the middle of his direct tomorrow night. The court, I understand. Mr. Chu, I'm sure Ms. Bredoff will cross-examine, so the question is, since he's not a normal witness in the sense that he's been hearing all the testimony, my question is, to what extent can we talk to him in the middle of direct or after? The court, no, I understand, but he's just like any other witness. Once he takes that oath, you can't just talk about his testimony. Mr. Chu, yes, we just wanted to make sure. The court, it makes sense. That's fine. That goes on both sides, obviously. Mr. Chu, so that would apply to Ms. Hurd as well. Ms. Bredoff, obviously. The court, also, as far as the alternate goes, on reflection, I think it should be the first person we call as the next alternate, and I have it as number 10. Ms. Bredoff, that's what I have. The court, just double checking. Ms. Bredoff, I have one more question. You have one more witness tomorrow before Mr. Depp, right? Mr. Chu, that's correct. The court, that's a live witness? Mr. Chu, it's a live witness. I don't think he'll take very long. The court, well, I've heard that. That's the kettle. Anyway, Ms. Bredoff, I was waiting to go say what he said. He's not a normal person? The court, that's good. You guys have a good evening, okay? Mr. Chu, thank you very much, Your Honor. The court, all right, thank you. We'll be in recess then. Open court, and then they are in recess.
Today, we are rejoining the head of security, Johnny Depp's personal security guard, on the stand. He is resuming cross-examination. I think we might have one other witness, and then it seems that Johnny Depp himself will be testifying. So we are in for it today.
So in the bottom text, you're telling Mr. Depp that some people are at his house visiting, and you say they'll be at the pool in 10,
Objection, Your
right?
Honor. Hearsay. Also relevance. This is 2019.
What's the relevance?
Yeah, what is
Just
the
testify that he hadn't helped facilitate Mr. Depp's drug use, so this is for impeachment, and this is, you got to read the text in context to see how it impeaches him.
All right, we could come.
Sure.
They're going sidebar.
Sidebar, the court. All right. This is the hard copy. So you're saying this impeaches him for facilitating drug use, Mr. Rottenborn? Yes, Your Honor, the court. I haven't read it yet, so I'm not sure. Where in there do you say that happens, Mr. Rottenborn? So, quote, there's some visitors to the house, end quote. If you start at the bottom and read up, and Mr. Depp makes clear he doesn't want them to go down and see them, and he says, quote, the not drugs are down there, end quote, on, I think it's entry 73. And then right above that, he says, so the visitors are coming. He says on 74, he says something about quote, can't go downstairs until they split, end quote. And then he says, quote, the not drugs is down there. What's a boy to do, end quote. And he says, quote, trying to help daddy, end quote. The court, I'm sorry, what is the impeachment of that? Mr. Rottenborn, the impeachment is he says he hasn't helped facilitate Mr. Depp's drug use. Mr. Depp is saying the quote, not drugs, end quote. He doesn't want to go downstairs because the not drugs is down there, meaning the court, I don't know what that means. Ms. Vasquez, yeah, I don't either. That's not impeachment. That's not proper impeachment. Mr. Rottenborn, I don't know what it means either, but it's the court. Then how can you say it's impeachment if you don't know what it means, Mr. Rottenborn? Well, I'm going to ask him, quote, well, he says he doesn't want to go downstairs because the not drugs, meaning like the drugs are upstairs. I don't want to go downstairs, end quote. The court, I understand that, Mr. Rottenborn. Do you know what I'm saying? The court, I'm going to sustain the objection. I don't see that. I just don't see that as impeachment. Mr. Rottenborn, okay, all right, Ms. Vasquez. Thank you very much, Your Honor. The court, okay. Back to open court.
So what impeachment means is if a witness says, hey, it's this or it's that, impeachment is them being proven to not have said something that is accurate. So I've never facilitated drug use. Presumably, these text messages would then say something to the contrary, like there's people at the pool, who knows what else. He's saying for completeness, you need the top and the bottom of these text messages, and that's why they're going to sidebar to impeach. So this is Keenan Wyatt, who's going to tell us exactly who he is.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Wyatt.
Morning.
Would you please state your full name for the record?
Mr. Chu.
Wyatt.
Mr. Wyatt, where do you live?
Thousand Oaks, California.
What do you do for a living?
Excuse me. I'm a sound technician on feature films.
How
So
long
this should
have
be
you
the
been a
last witness
sound
before
technician on
Johnny Depp.
feature films?
Over 35 years.
Has Mr. Depp ever worn an earpiece in any of the many movies in which you worked with him?
Yes.
For what purpose are earpieces generally used by actors on sets?
Well, I've worked
Objection,
with.
Your Honor. First of all, relevance, foundation.
Ms. Bredehoff, objection, Your Honor. First of all, relevance, foundation, the court. What's the relevance?
What's the relevance?
Hearsay.
Ms. Bredehoff, hearsay.
That is
May we approach, Your Honor?
Okay, sure.
Mr. Chu, may we approach, Your Honor? The court, okay, sure.
Oh, I want to know the relevance too. What's the relevance with earpieces?
Sidebar, Mr. Chu. Your Honor, this is very few questions about this. Part of their case is that Johnny is an alcoholic and a drug addict, and he can't remember his lines. And I need to establish that he uses earpieces for a very different reason. The court, well, I think if you want to direct it towards him, but the last question you said was, quote, why do people generally use earpieces in the film, end quote. Mr. Chu, I was just trying to ask that one question just to establish what, the court, that's all right. If you want to just direct it to Johnny Depp, that's fine. Mr. Chu, okay, thank you, Your Honor. The court, open court.
Which just alerts
Mr.
the jury
Wyatt,
that
has
they don't
Mr.
want that
Depp
information
ever
in.
worn an earpiece in any of the movies?
So he won
which you
again
worked with
the
him?
objection.
I'll allow it.
And she's going to keep objecting. Stop it.
I'll allow it.
You just
Yes,
lost.
Did
This
there
is
come
a
time, Mr. Wyatt,
marital case
when
wrapped in a
you
defamation
learned
civil
that,
lawsuit.
Mr. Depp
So it is a
and Ms. Heard
defamation
were
civil
getting
lawsuit.
married to each other?
That's a
Yes.
mess.
How did you find out about that there would be a wedding?
I was at the Infinitum office, and Christi came to me and said, hey,
I'm just asking, it's not for the proof, I'm just
It's not
asking
for the-
how he found out about the wedding.
It's for the effect on the hearer, not for the truth of the matter. They obviously got married. This is the dumbest fucking objection. Like, literally save it. They're asking, they got married. We know they got married. Like, is this really what you want to have to go to the bench for? Because he was told that they were getting married? How did you find out? I was told. Why in the fuck are we fighting over this? We all know they got married. This is dumb.
Sidebar. Mr. Chu, I'm just getting to the rushed nature of the wedding and how they all found out about it last minute. I mean, I think it's relevant because he saw them interact, so I'm asking him how they interacted. The court, okay, you can get to the wedding. I'm not sure it's relevant how he found out about it. Mr. Chu, understood. The court, okay, Ms. Baruch, and that's fine. Mr. Chu, thank you. Open court.
Ugh, she pisses me off. This is dumb. This is a dumb objection. Stop it. Stop it. It's a big secret that they got married? No. For fuck's sake. Perspective would go a long way here. Just cross-examine him.
Mr. Wyatt, did you end up attending the wedding?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so they just took a morning recess. The bailiff, all rise. Please be seated and come to order. The court, if I could have you approach the bench for just a moment. Sidebar. The court, okay, so juror. We'll find the juror, the young man in the back, Ms. Bredehoff, number 4. The court, number 4, he's feeling very anxious. He seems to be having some sort of mental health issue, but he says he's okay right now. He thinks at lunchtime he might be able to get some medicine and be okay. Now, this is interesting because just the day before, they had to dismiss that other juror because he was having issues with his hernia. And I don't know that we really were, well, we may have been aware of that, the juror from yesterday, we may have been aware of that during the trial, but I don't know that we knew about this. Okay, anyway, so he seems to be having some sort of mental health issue, but he says he's okay right now. He thinks at lunchtime he might be able to get some medicine and be okay. I might keep my eye on him. I'm a little concerned because I guess Judy said she saw him on the elevator too, and he was talking to himself, acting a little off. So I'm not sure exactly, but I'll keep my eye on him. He says he's okay until lunch. I didn't talk to him. That's through a deputy who says he said he's okay through lunch. But we'll keep an eye on him and see exactly what's going on with him. And at lunchtime, we'll have a better... I was going to, after this witness, go ahead and take an early lunch. Mr. Chu, I think that makes sense, Your Honor, because we have some issues. We have almost 100% agreement on the recordings, but I think we could use the time to kind of finish that up. The court, okay, sure. So we'll send them to lunch after this witness, and we'll continue for a little while so we can take care of some things, okay? Is that good? Mr. Chu, yeah, thank you, Your Honor. The court, okay. Ms. Bredehoff, thank you, Your Honor. Back to open court.
So we're going to be getting into cross-examination. Objection! Counsel's testifying.
To Ms. Bredehoff's testimony.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Ask the question.
We're playing along at home.
Significant, isn't it, when there's a delay?
It's significant. I don't think the film completely shut down for all of that. They continued to shoot what they could.
How many of the crew members were impacted by Johnny not being able to be there after he cut off, after the finger was cut off?
Well, there was the crew. Some of the crew, I'm sure, still kept working and filming other scenes without Johnny's character in it.
Do you know how many were impacted?
No, I don't.
Do you know how much Disney was impacted?
No, I don't.
Okay, so now you say when he came back, he collaborated with Sean Bailey, right?
Yes.
And they were talking about how they were going to get together on something, right?
Yes.
Did Johnny do anything with Sean Bailey for the rest of 2015?
I don't know about that.
Why is it the tip of his finger was cut off?
They talked
There's
about
a lot of
collaborating and doing
conversation
something.
about
Sean and Johnny had worked out. Johnny working
Mr. Wyatt, if you can just answer my
Your
question.
Honor,
He's
may I
trying
begin,
to.
please? She asked the question.
I
He
asked,
should be able.
did he collaborate?
Let
in
the witness
2015?
Your Honor,
finish.
may he be allowed to
Yes,
please
let
finish
him
his
finish
answer?
the question. Answer. Sorry. Go ahead.
Let him finish.
Johnny and Sean put together Johnny dressing up as Captain Jack
Why
and
is this so
addressing the
contentious?
crowd at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike and ask you to ask that to be stricken. That is not responsive to my
It is
question.
Your Honor,
absolutely
she asked him the
responsible.
question. Should she?
That's not the question she asked him. You want to ask your question again, please?
Yes. Did
Why does it matter
Mr.
so
Bailey
much?
collaborate at all with Mr. Depp in 2018?
Ask
I don't
Mr.
know.
Bailey. How is this article
In,
have foundation?
October of 2018.
And
Do you recall seeing this article?
No,
You never saw it?
I don't read
Okay.
I don't read these
All right,
stories. and
I don't
stuff
read
like
this
that.
So
shit.
then you were asked at the very end by Mr. Chu whether you had
Ooh.
ever heard
Did you
of
hear the
anyone
way she said
accusing
chew?
Mr.
With
Depp of
disdain.
violence, and you said you'd never heard of anyone accusing Mr. Depp of violence. Do you recall that?
Correct.
Have you ever heard of Greg Brooks?
I don't know.
He's a
no.
manager on a set from City of Lies.
No.
Who's
Okay.
filed a lawsuit against Mr. Depp for punching
Your Honor,
Hey, whoa,
lack of
whoa,
foundation
whoa.
and
That's
object
whoa.
to Ms. Bredehoff's speech.
Whoa, Miss Bredhoff.
I'll allow it. He's good.
I don't.
She's
I don't know
testifying.
what happened. I've
Have you
never
ever
seen.
heard of
I've
that?
never seen him be violent to anybody.
But you testified you'd never heard of that. So had you ever heard of Greg Brooks accusing Mr. Depp of punching him on the set of City of Lies?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I don't know any basis of it, though.
Now, you shared
That
an
just
oxygen
happened.
tank with Mr. Depp on that Boston plane.
Y'all,
didn't
did you remember
No.
to do the YouTube things?
You don't recall
likey
Mr. Depp
subscribing things?
insisting that the flight
the
attendant give him
things.
an oxygen tank and the two of you used it?
No.
Were you
Okay.
taking hits
Do
of
you
oxygen?
recall Mr. Depp drinking champagne on the plane?
I don't know what he was drinking. I'm sure I was having wine. He could have been having champagne.
Do you remember him drinking a couple bottles of champagne?
I don't know how much.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp didn't kick Amber?
I didn't see anything like that.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Depp go to the back of the plane and pass out and moan loudly?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that either?
No.
Sorry.
Okay.
I
Can you
can't.
pull up
I
Defendant's
can't.
Exhibit 245, please?
He passed out and moaned loudly?
And Your Honor, I
just-
show no objection to it in the filings. So I'm going to move the admission of it, and I'm going to ask it to be published.
Let's publish. I want to see.
Any objection to 245?
Yes, Your Honor, it's improper impeachment. It's not to him.
Perfect.
All right. If you
That's
wanna
the
approach,
objection.
We'll see what your
Let's
objections-
approach.
Do you have your list of objections from your exhibits?
Do you have your list of objections from your exhibits? Ms. Bredhoff, I do. I have them right here. Sidebar, the court, 245. Ms. Bredhoff, this is, I know, I needed my glasses for this. 245 has no objection. The court, 245. Mr. Chu, it's improper impeachment. It's not to Mr. Wyatt. Mr. Bredhoff, first of all, it's admitted, so it can be published. But this is Mr. Depp talking about what he drank and what he took in drugs. Mr. Chu, Your Honor, it's hearsay. Ms. Bredhoff, before and at that time. Mr. Chu, Your Honor, it's hearsay and it's prejudicial. Ms. Bredhoff, we're admitting it here. The court, who's it from, though? Ms. Bredhoff, it's from Depp to Paul Bettany. The court, to who? Ms. Bredhoff, to Paul Bettany. Mr. Chu, no, it's not to him. The court, no, then it can't come in. Just because they didn't object to it doesn't mean it automatically comes in at trial. You're trying to use it for impeachment. Obviously, they don't know that's what you're trying to use it for at the time, so there are still hearsay objections and impeachment objections that come up during trial. And right now, he's not even party to this conversation. So I'm not going to allow it, okay? Ms. Bredhoff, okay, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Chu, I think she should be instructed to move on. The court, excuse me? Mr. Chu, she should be instructed to move on to another. Ms. Bredhoff, no, I'm going to ask questions. I just can't use the document. The court, well, you're not going to use it. You're not going to ask questions about this text, though. Ms. Bredhoff, I can't make reference to the text. Mr. Chu, no. Ms. Bredhoff, because of Your Honor's ruling, but I'm going to ask him additional questions, but I'm not going to put it into the text. The court, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Not involving the words on this text, correct? Ms. Bredhoff, correct. Mr. Chu, that's what I wanted to make sure. The court, okay. Open court. This is like the first time they're really learning just really how clear they have to be with Elaine and spell it out and repeat it many, many times as we see going forward in this trial and all these different sidebars. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but we're seeing that pattern start to emerge. It's like foreshadowing.
Oh, she's pointing at the clock. It is 11:45 with this shit. What are you doing? That was my interpretation. So I will look for Court TV's
Mr.
website
Wyatt, are
feed.
you aware that
Thanks, chat.
Mr. Deuters apologized to Amber
That would
for
be
Mr.
Gina
Depp's
Deuters' husband.
conduct afterwards?
Lack of
After the
foundation,
fact.
hearsay, Your Honor.
I'll
It is
sustain the objection.
hearsay.
Next question.
Are we done? She's flipping through her notes.
How many times were you with Amber and Mr. Depp together?
Oh, I have no idea.
Now, you had a very close personal relationship with Christi Dembrowski, didn't you?
Who?
We're friends, yes.
Yes, and you were more than friends for quite a few years. Were
Your
you not?
Honor,
Who?
relevance, may we approach?
It's impeachment.
All right, let's
It's bias. Bias.
approach, please.
Who the fuck is Christy?
Sidebar, the court. All right. What's the problem? Mr. Chu, she's wanting to go into the gutter again and try to intimate the court. I'm not sure, Ms. Brethoff, he's biased. He had an affair with her for years. Mr. Chu, he didn't. That's a lie, number one. The court, I'm not going there. I'm not. I'm going to sustain the ejection. That's more of a sideshow than we're going to. She's not on trial here, okay? Ms. Brethoff, correct. The court, all right, back to open court.
They're trying to impeach him with a relationship, apparently. Johnny Depp's sister? Is Christy Johnny Depp's sister? Okay, Johnny's sister. So, wait, did he have a relationship with Johnny's sister? I guess we'll find out. Let's watch together.
Now, you testified that the wedding that you went to, the one in Los
she moved on.
Angeles,
She lost.
seemed to be a little
Extended lunch today until 2:00. So just do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research. And we'll see
Till 2
you back
o'clock.
here at 2 p.m., okay? If you just go with Deputy Lisa.
All right.
Email that I can mention.
So lunch till 2. I will set up a new stream. We will be back after 2. Let's see if we get, I hope they don't cut away. Let's see if we get what's going on with the housekeeping matters after the jury's out of the room.
The court, all right, okay. You said you had some housekeeping matters to take care of. Ms. Brethoff, I'm not aware of any. Mr. Chu, we'd like to speak with you about some of the videos if you have a moment before the lunch. Ms. Brethoff, I'm happy to chat with them, but the court, okay, so you don't need me for that? Okay, Mr. Chu. Oh, yes, Your Honor, I apologize. The court, oh, okay, I thought you needed me for that. Ms. Brethoff, so you're getting an extended lunch. The court, so I can get an extended lunch. Okay, well, what am I going to do just to let you know, actually, if you approach the bench?
And let's see, they're approaching about whatever's going on.
Sidebar, the court. With juror number 4, we have CSB in the building, for mental health services. So I'm going to have one of them come up and just not release him for lunch yet and talk with him and see exactly if he's having a mental health issue. Ms. Brethoff, I think it's a good idea. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. The court, okay. And so we're going to see where we are and we can update from there. I'm sorry about the extended lunch. I thought we had other things to do, but if that works out. Ms. Vasquez, well, we'd appreciate it, Your Honor, because we've met and conferred and started to on the recordings. The court, okay, good.
Look, they all look like they're having a great time. I want to know what they're talking about.
Ms. Vasquez, and we have an agreement that both sides can use the other's voices. The court, during Mr. Depp's? Ms. Vasquez, yeah, The court, okay, I gotcha. Ms. Vasquez, the only thing we're still ironing out, whether we believe Mr. Depp believes, that only portions of, we have transcripts of the recordings. The court, okay. Ms. Vasquez, both sides do, but we believe, similar to the way Your Honor has been ruling on the text message, only the portions of the transcripts that are displayed, the court, right, Ms. Vasquez, should be submitted to the jury as either an aid, if Your Honor would prefer, or admitted into the evidence. The court, okay. Ms. Vasquez, Ms. Hurd's counsel is insisting that the entire transcript should be provided to the jury, and we disagree with that. The court, as far as when it comes to video coverage and transcripts, they can have the transcripts as aid, they're not evidence. Ms. Vasquez, right. The court, okay, so they can have them as an aid as you're watching the video. Ms. Brethoff, audio. And we're mostly talking about audio here, audio recordings, court, audio. It can be assistance when they hear the audio, but the transcripts themselves don't come into evidence. The evidence is the audio recording. Ms. Brethoff, I think the reason that we've got the transcripts, Your Honor, there is one audio recording that's over 5 hours, and it's going to, I remember this comes up later. Oh dear, the court. She brings this up. She brings this up much later during Amber's, I think, when Amber's on the stand. Okay, anyway. Ms. Brethoff, I think the reason that we've got the transcripts, Your Honor, there is one audio recording that's over 5 hours, and it's the court. It doesn't come into evidence unless the audio comes into evidence. I usually don't let transcripts into the jury, but I'll let them. Ms. Brethoff, we just wanted to do that so that the court, okay, that's fine. But if you think it'll help them because maybe there's hard to hear parts of the audio, I'll allow them to. You can pass it to them while they're listening to the audio, and then once it's done, I collect them back up. Ms. Brethoff, okay. Ms. Vasquez, and there's going to be 2 versions, Your Honor, because we've done transcripts and they've done we've done transcriptions and they've done transcriptions. The court, of course there is. Mr. Chu, very unreasonable. The court, okay, so do you want me to come back a little early so I can decide which one? Or are you guys going to figure that out on your own? I'm not going to give the jurors 2 transcriptions. Ms. Vasquez, you're not going to give them 2? The court, no, the whole point is to help them.
Something is happening. I just don't know what is happening. So,
Ms. Vasquez, would it be where if you can't agree, then I'm not going to give it to them and it's just going to be on their hearing of it, which is fair. Ms. Vasquez, okay. Or would you be amenable if we play a portion of the transcript that we provide our transcription and then the court, no, we're not going to do that. Ms. Vasquez, no. Okay. The court, no. Ms. Vasquez, okay. The court, okay. So it's either one transcription or none. Ms. Vasquez, or none. The court, and it doesn't go to the jury, okay? We'll see you at 2. Mr. Chu, thank you. Ms. Vasquez, thank you very much, Your Honor.
very interested to see. So let's see if they put anything on the record. The judge is off the bench, so they're not going to put anything on the record. They are done for lunch. So 2-hour break for lunch.
And then they go to lunch and they have a long lunch today.
And share screen. The judge is on the bench and we are just going to do that. Next witness.
Your Honor, we call Mr. John C. Depp.
All right. There it is. It is. It's all happening. It's all happening. We think the pros and cons of his testimony, the way a jury might see it.
My father and I had
juries
a
can
conversation
be very skeptical.
Years later,
especially when people
where
act.
I asked him,
so I appreciate
what
that.
really happened. How did it happen when I was older? And he told me the story.
I agree with you. Now they're objecting to narrative.
Mr. Rottenborn, objection, Your Honor. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, may we approach the court? Sure. Sidebar. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, this is being offered for his state of mind and understanding of his relationship, the foundation upon which the relationship that he was in with Miss Heard is. Mr. Rottenborn, still, that's just, I've had a lot of restraint so far. He's getting into what his dad told him about why he left. So hearsay, the court. What? Mr. Rottenborn, if it's offered for the truth, it's clear that they're trying to draw a parallel, make Amber's families here and Johnny's the court. I don't know what is the answer, so I can just, Ms. Myers, his understanding is that his mother had held a gun to his father and then to her own head. And that's what his father told him. Now, whether it's true or not, that's what Mr. Depp understood the situation was and why his father left the court. So why is it relevant? Ms. Myers, it's relevant to understanding why Mr. Depp would stay in this relationship with Ms. Heard and why she would ultimately leave. The court, I'll sustain the objection. Move on. Thank you.
Going to also trigger his memory when it comes to
Depp, how did you feel
confrontational events with Amber. How he feels about his father, I'm not sure how that is quite relevant. He already said he was angry and he thought it was cowardly.
I was very disappointed in him because I started to believe that his exit was sneaky, cowardly.
They left him with someone who was abusive.
When he said goodbye to me, when he left for work that morning, he just said goodbye. Goodbye, Bob. No, see you later, Pop. That was it. Until I learned the truth from him.
And without getting into what your father told you, how has your impression of your father changed now?
And I don't know how this
section relevance.
Yes, is relevant.
Your Honor, this is just an understanding of his perception of his family.
Why does it matter?
I'll sustain the objection. Next
yeah.
question.
Why is it relevant? How he perceives his dad. So.
Are you at a good breaking point?
I think this is a good stopping point.
Oh, we're done for the day.
It's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and break for the evening.
Good morning. It is Thursday. If you've been watching this trial, you've probably forgotten it was about defamation until yesterday afternoon when Johnny Depp started cross-examination.
Paul Bettany's a good friend that you've done drugs with, right?
These are some horrific text messages.
Paul Bettany is a good friend.
Just a heads up. These are horrific.
You've done drugs with him?
Yes, I have.
Cocaine, right?
Cocaine, yes.
They
alcohol,
keep hammering on the drugs. I don't know if it works
pills,
for them.
including Xanax and Adderall, right?
I mean, if those are prescriptions.
That I'm not so sure of.
Okay.
Where's he going?
No. We don't know where he's going. Oh, he's probably walking over to something. But the running commentary probably won't go.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Well,
I just want to discuss one thing with you.
Okay.
Ms. Myers.
The text messages, I'm sure.
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm going to be impeaching Mr. Depp. I'm going to impeach Mr. Depp with some of the testimony from the UK, but I want to respect, Your Honor, what you ruled on that. So I'm just wondering what you would like me to refer to this as. I think it's fair game to refer to it as the testimony in the UK or the UK trial, but I don't want to run afoul of the court. I think you've already talked about that testimony in the UK trial. I think that, Ms. Myers. Oh, the testimony is publicly available. Mr. Rottenborn, yes, I just don't want to, if I say take a look at your UK testimony, I don't want you to be the court. No, I think anything you can say, I direct your attention to your testimony in the UK case is fine. Would you agree? Yeah, just nothing with the judgment ruling, that's all. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, appreciate it. May I approach the witness? The court, yes. Back to open court.
So Miss Myers was the female attorney, the one in the high heels that I had commented about, that is doing the direct examination of Johnny Depp. I had thought it was Miss Vasquez because I had not seen her on screen, and it was not. It was Miss Myers. I'm still trying to hammer that image to the jury.
You remember giving testimony in the trial in the UK, correct?
Yes.
And you gave that testimony under oath, right?
Yes.
You gave quite a bit of testimony in that trial, right?
I wouldn't be able to judge that myself. It felt like a lot.
Okay, well, let's
how do you
take a look at some
quantify
of
a
it.
lot?
If you can turn to page 45, please, in front of you.
Yes, and as we
It's
are still
page,
doing the members only live at
12
lunch, I'll
of the
populate the
document.
stream for 7 p.m.
Four
tonight.
transcript
I see
pages.
page 12 of the document, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Paul Bettany, who plays Vision in the Marvel movies. Him. See, I think if they're getting to these text messages and harping on the drugs, it's just like, oh, well, you know, we had taken some drugs and we were being
Yes,
hyperbolic.
in the lower left corner, there's a page 45. Do you see that?
Yes,
These cats right now are running across my desk like it's
And
a
you see
fucking
that
speedway.
on the bottom of that page, there's a discussion of Paul Bettany and the drugs that you did together. And there was a question. The question is, any sort of pills? And your answer is yes. There could have been Xanax, or if he asked for Xanax or Adderall, whatever, I would, of course, give it to him.
That wasn't the question asked.
So you would supply Paul Bettany with whatever
That wasn't the question
medication
asked. He
or
said heavy.
controlled drugs he asked for. Is that right? Answer: if he was feeling anxious
This
or
is
if he was feeling
improper
unpleasant,
impeachment.
I would give him what he asked for.
Objection.
Question: would you give him a Xanax?
Objection.
Answer: yes.
Improper impeachment.
Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes, sir.
But that's not the question he asked him. The
And you
question he asked him
shared,
was, had you done these things
the two
together?
of you shared
Not
an
would you
enjoyment of
provide this
controlled
together?
drugs or alcohol at that time, right?
I'm going to get annoyed today. They probably didn't object because it doesn't really fucking matter.
Together.
With respect, sir, that wasn't my question. My question was the two of you shared an
Ask better questions.
enjoyment of controlled drugs and alcohol at that time.
How can he speculate as to Paul Bettany's enjoyment?
At times.
And
yeah,
Miss Heard
I don't think
was
it's going
quite
to work.
adamant that you didn't drink anymore and that you should stop
Hello.
using recreational drugs, right?
Oh, yes.
This is a
And she
very
didn't like
full
it when you were
courtroom
high
today.
on drugs or drunk on alcohol, right?
She didn't like it when it was her perception that I was high on drugs. Her perception is quite different than the truth.
And that's what we're after is the truth. Let's turn to, can you pull up Exhibit 178, please, Michelle?
Her perception is
that
quite
Defendant's
different than the
178,
truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's all right. I just want to make sure.
Oh,
Mr. Depp,
Objection, Your Honor. All right. Can
That-
we approach?
That's a
them?
little late. Did she just, I wonder if she just got to the end of what he was saying.
Ms. Myers, objection, Your Honor. Can we approach, please? The court, okay, sure. Sidebar. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, we're objecting on basis of 403 and 404. This isn't relevant and highly prejudicial given the language. The court, everything is prejudicial. I understand that. Ms. Myers, it's also improper character evidence as well because this is just, he didn't actually do what, indiscernible, in the text message. It's just using the foul language. The court, yes, sir. Mr. Rottenborn, I'll respond if you'd like. The court, yes. Mr. Rottenborn, he's talking about doing violence to his then girlfriend, doing violence, which is what he's, indiscernible, whole trial to do. Make sure there's no more direct evidence, indiscernible. It's highly probative, the court. The only concern I have is since it's already redacted, this is something I'd assume you want, Ms. Myers. So they redacted the middle portion where, Mr. Rottenborn, I'll be happy to put in the middle portion. I was just trying to keep things going today. I just decided to. They'll probably object to hearsay to other people's texts, but we can remove that redaction. The court. Do you want it in context? Miss Myers, we most certainly would if it's coming in. Mr. Rottenborn. So what we'll do, there's a text from Paul Bettany between the two, and there's actually one after Johnny's bottom text. Miss Myers, right? Mr. Rottenborn. We'll unredact those right now. The court. That will be good. I think that's fair. I still have your observation, which I'm going to overrule. It goes both ways. But if you want to, if you can do that, Mr. Rottenborn, we'll do it right now. Then I think for a lot of these, we'll just make note and agree on paper copies and hand them up to the court tomorrow if that works. The court. I'll allow into evidence with the agreed redactions once you've agreed on it. Okay? Mr. Rottenborn, thank you. The court. Thank you. Open court.
They're going to try to characterize him as different than all of his close friends that have known him much longer have already testified how he is.
Mr. Depp,
Mr. Rottenborn.
This is a text message exchange that you had with Paul Bettany.
Warning.
On June 11th, 2013.
Sensitive
correct?
content.
Yes. Correct.
Your Honor, permission to move for admission of
Yeah, they want to publish this shit to the jury. It's not good.
Defendant's Exhibit 178 and permission to publish, please.
Publish means we get to see it.
Based off of Your Honor's ruling.
All right.
That's fine.
So the judge probably redacted something. Johnny
Your
Depp.
Honor, there's been no objection to this exhibit, and so I'd move for its admission and ask for permission to publish to the jury.
Give them a moment.
Why is the fuck word so sensitive? I don't know. People get so uptight about cursing and language. I think people are going to get more uptight in the later ones where he drops the
Your Honor,
see you next Tuesday
we have
word.
no objection to the portions that have Mr. Depp's text messages, but at the bottom portion, there is some from his daughter that we would ask be redacted.
The last two.
And Your
That's
Honor, that's okay, but there was no objection to this on the
but
exhibit list.
but they don't appear to be relevant, which
That's fine. We're happy to redact those.
Yeah, they don't appear. Yeah, I told you the texts were bad. I warned. They're getting them in to show a different side of Johnny Depp, and that's what they're going to have to do.
so 245 in evidence with the redactions.
Yep.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Depp, the top text message, we're going to focus on a couple of these, but the top text message is a text from you to Paul Bettany on May 30th.
Well, that's impossible to read if you cut the end of it off. Could you scoot?
Scroll over, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle, scoot it over. Thanks, Michelle.
Patty Smith. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Michelle, can you please take that down and let's pull up.
I agree
Exhibit
that it seems like he
325.
wanted to start detoxing. Okay, no, I said who is Patty Smith because they have not introduced this character in the trial. None of the attorneys have talked about who this individual is. They didn't ask Depp who it is. So we have external
Mr. Depp,
knowledge
is
and we
this
can
a
guess,
text message
but the
exchange that you
jury
had with
can't
Ms.
really
Heard
guess. They
on
need to
December
be
18th,
told. So
2014.
yes,
I see that.
but
Your
he,
Honor,
he should have asked Johnny
move
Depp
for admission
and who
of
is
this
Patty
exhibit
Smith.
and ask for permission to publish.
All right, any objection?
May I have a look at the
Of course.
Oh, you've got an objection.
Real quick.
Okay, sure.
You've got an objection. He's like, can I look at it real quick? No, we're not there yet.
Miss Myers, Your Honor, may we approach real quick? Court. Sure. Sidebar. Miss Myers, my only concern is it's already redacted. I can't see if there's any necessary context. Mr. Rottenborn, we can unredact it all. The court, I know, but maybe next time we could exchange them ahead of time so we know which exhibits are at least. Mr. Rottenborn, we understand. The court, let's unredact them. Give them a chance to review the whole page. Mr. Rottenborn, we have no objection if you want it all unredacted. That's fine. Miss Myers, I'll take a look. The court, let her take a look and move down so they can see the whole thing. Mr. Rottenborn, okay. Open court.
But again,
Excuse me, sorry. I just want to make clear, we haven't seen the other pages, but this page we have no
This
objection
is
to.
the only page?
fair.
I believe this is the only page to the document.
As
Your
to
Honor,
this
right?
page, we have no objection.
325 is only one page?
Just one page.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. I would have been swallowed up by the monster were it not for you. That is a simple fact. Isn't
Yes.
that true?
yes? Again, the monster referring to alcohol and substances.
Correct. And you didn't send that message to Miss Heard. You sent that to Elton John. I would have been
Wait.
swallowed up by the monster were it not for you.
Show me the Elton John text. I want all of them.
Elton,
Can you pull up exhibit
was it
408?
Yes.
your friend who
Let's talk about Elton John.
has been sober for 40 years, 30 years. So he was. We'd had discussions, and he wanted me to get clean, sober. So Elton actually sent a fellow called Charlie Dunnett, who worked with Elton for
I'm
years,
living for
years.
this story.
Mr. Depp, I appreciate that. My only question was just to confirm that you had sent that message to Elton John, nothing else. Thank you.
So I'll just stop.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to be respectful of the court's time and the jury's time.
Sorry?
I just said I want to be respectful of the court's time and the jury's time, and I trust that you do too. So,
No.
Well, I don't feel like I'm wasting anyone's time, sir.
could you pull up exhibit 4?
Yeah, I don't feel that he's wasting anyone's time here either. This is what we're here for.
Mr. Depp, I'd like to turn your attention to the bottom text on this page. And can you confirm that this is a text message that you sent on April 9th, 2015, while you were married to Amber, to your sister? Do you see that?
The last
the last text on the one on the bottom.
Yes, I see that, yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for admission of 408 with all the identifiers redacted and everything except the last text redacted.
Just the last
Yes, Your Honor.
one text.
We object, Your Honor. If we could approach just very quickly.
Ms. Myers, we object, Your Honor, if we could approach very quickly. Sidebar! Ms. Myers, Your Honor, the messages before reflect that this is actually to Whitney, not his sister, so we'd ask that those be included. Mr. Rottenborn, okay, the court. So you just redact everything except the very last text. Ms. Myers, well, I think the one or two before it reflect that this is communication between him and Whitney, not Christi. The court, okay, so this is Whitney? Ms. Myers, yes. Mr. Rottenborn, so you just want, Ms. Myers, I would like to at least have that language that shows that. The court, you want to have the two top texts above it? Ms. Myers, I believe it's one or two, yes. Mr. Rottenborn, whatever they want is fine. The court, okay, I just want to make sure, if you want to go back, you want the top two texts above that one that they want in, or just the one? Ms. Myers, I think it's just the one that I'm concerned, the court. So if you could redact everything except those last two texts, see if that is right before we, Ms. Myers, yes. The court, so we can do those redactions before you publish. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, the court. Okay, back to open court.
Rottenborn is doing his job. On cross, you tend to ask for yes, no answers. You try to keep all of that stuff succinct. So it's not inappropriate legally for him to cut off Johnny Depp and try to get to the point of the answer. But it would generally be a, sir, that's not what I asked. The question is this, or thank you, sir, but it's this. But they're not going to just let him speak on cross. And if this goes like this through lunch, we're going to go well into Monday with Johnny Depp still on the stand. So y'all, look, I have a flight on Tuesday. I need this to be
Mr. Depp.
Emily has scheduling issues.
Is sis in those texts, is that your sister, or it could be Amber's sister too, right?
Oh, we don't know what sis means.
Sis, I was referring to Whitney.
Whitney. Okay, so Amber's sister. Okay.
Yes, Amber's sister.
This picture, you recall, Mr. Depp, was taken in or around March of 2013.
What CD is this? Keith
After he was fallen
Richards.
off the wagon.
Isn't happy hour anytime?
And that cocaine, those white lines, those are
dear.
that's cocaine, right?
I don't know. I would assume so.
Yeah, and that's, you can't say that you carried cocaine in that box?
No, but it looks like it would fit some cocaine.
There's an audience full of Depp fans today.
Cocaine is, in my experience, normally given in plastic bags. When you put it in a box like that,
it's going to spill all over the place.
Chances are very good you'll leave a trail of a long line of cocaine behind you walking down the street. So,
I guess the first thing I'd like to do is take a look at exhibits, or I'm sorry, the entries.
Anastasia, I agree. It has no
1628.
relevance to abuse.
So
It also
that's
doesn't have much relevance to the
about halfway down
defamation.
page. It's a text exchange, a text from you to Stephen Deuters, your personal assistant at the time.
Kit Kat, I don't
And
know why we
then
care
a
about the
text
Coke in
from
the
him
box.
Back to you.
Objection, Your Honor.
I don't know why we care. What are the grounds for the objection? I would like, oh, she asked to approach. I didn't hear that part.
Ms. Myers. Objection, Your Honor. The court. All right. Would you like to approach? Ms. Myers, yes. Sidebar. The court. I guess we're approaching. Ms. Myers. The portion of the communication, the court. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you. Ms. Myers. The portion of the text messages that refer to Seattle need to be redacted. Mr. Rottenborn, of course. I actually prepared a redacted version, but I thought from this morning you'd want to see the whole thing. The court. Which ones are you focusing on? Mr. Rottenborn. I'm going to focus on the two from him to Stephen Deuters in the middle of the page. I think it's 16 and 28, and then the court, two of those. Mr. Rottenborn. I think there's one at the bottom, one text at the bottom, just those three. The court says, the one that says, quote, I used marijuana a lot, end quote. Mr. Rottenborn. Yes, the court. The ones you redacted, now that we've seen it all, there isn't anything else you want on there, right? Ms. Myers. No. The court. Once you redact it and once they've seen it, we'll enter it into evidence. Mr. Rottenborn. Okay. No, that's fine. I have no objection to that. The court. Okay. Back to open court.
This feels very tedious to me. This feels wandering. This feels like, what is the point? Who cares about the JD box? I just don't know what the point is. But these two snarking and laughing might also annoy the jury. So that
agree with that?
That's fine, Your Honor. Thank you.
152 with redactions and evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate your patience. Mr. Depp, we're going to take a look at two text messages here.
Thank us for our
or three
patience.
text messages. Can you pull up Exhibit 214, please?
They just opened the door. This is why I went, ooh. They just opened the door to get in the stuff about his kids not liking Amber, because yesterday Amber's team shut that down, and we were starting to get into a letter that Lily Rose had written about Amber Heard and didn't go to their wedding.
Mr. Depp, portions of this, we've already
So
seen
that opens
portions
the
of
door
this,
to bring all of that in now.
What I'm going to ask you about are the top three messages. These are messages to and from your daughter, Lily Rose, I believe, on February 4th, 2014.
Oh, are they just bringing it in?
We object, Your Honor. These are communications. We object to the admission of any communications from his daughter.
What's the legal objection?
Yes.
Hearsay.
All right.
First of all, I was just asking him if that was what it was. But
He's not very smooth in responding to
may
this
we approach?
either.
Okay.
May we approach?
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn. I think context matters. Today we've had a number of things where she said, well, we want the other text messages for context, so I think it's indiscernible. The court. They don't want it this time. Mr. Rottenborn. Fair enough. I'm going to ask him some questions, may ask to have them not published, but impeach him with it. The court. What's the impeachment, though? Mr. Rottenborn. Nothing. Yeah, I'm just saying I'm not going to ask the court. So what? Indiscernible. Mr. Rottenborn. Potentially, I may show it to him for impeachment purposes if necessary. The court. But not now? Mr. Rottenborn. Not now. The court. Sustain the objection to 214. Next exhibit. Ms. Myers. Thank you, Your Honor. Back to open court.
And let's see who won this sidebar.
Mr. Depp, you understood
They moved on.
that the last few years before Amber,
But this opens up about the
that
kids.
your relationship with your kids was such that there was a perception by them that you weren't around for them, and that all changed when Amber came into your life.
That's
correct?
compound.
Objection calls for speculation.
It's also compound.
Just asking what he's aware of.
No, it's asking for what they thought. You're asking for somebody
May I ask the
else's
question one more
state
time?
of mind.
You're aware that, sure. You're aware
Sir.
that the last few years before you started dating Amber, that there was a perception by your kids that you weren't around, and that all changed when Amber came into your life.
Lacks foundation, hearsay, calls for someone else's state of mind.
This is not exactly the truth of what you're
There you go.
trying to put forth.
No, I'm just asking if you were aware of my question, that there was a perception that you weren't around for the last
No, I'm
couple
not
years
aware.
before Amber, and that changed when Amber came into your life. That's all I'm asking.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
There were extenuating
I'm not
circumstances.
sure if he's the answer to it.
Right.
For that objection, I'll overrule that objection.
Thank you.
Try again.
You're also aware that there was a perception, you were made aware.
It's interesting
that Lily
he just
Rose
moved
believed
on.
that Amber was a good influence on you and changed you for the better, correct?
Objection.
Calls for hearsay. Yeah.
I'm just asking for what his understanding is.
I'll sustain the objection. Let's move on.
Can you please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1094?
Also, I wonder
Your
if
Honor,
they'll
may
get
we
around.
approach briefly?
This is going to be tedious.
Ms. Myers, Your Honor, may we approach briefly? The court, sure. Sidebar. Ms. Myers, I don't know if that was proper to just put that up without asking a question. The court, the audio clip, Ms. Myers, it was just played. There was no question about it. The court, that's all right. You can follow it up on your redirect. That's fine. That's fine. Back to open court.
And you are currently
You let me know.
In a lawsuit for assaulting a crew member on the set of one of your movies in July 2018, correct?
Yes, someone brought a case against me.
Right. A man by the name of Greg Rocky Brooks is suing you for allegedly
Objection,
punching
Your
him
Honor.
twice in the
Relevance
ribs.
and
All right,
403 and 404.
Yep.
Sidebar. Ms. Myers, this is a defamation case. I don't think either of you can have improper character evidence in a defamation case. What's your objection? Ms. Myers, relevance, Your Honor. The court, what's your relevance? Mr. Rottenborn, relevance is that the two bodyguards that were with him during the time of these allegations were Jerry Judge and Sean Bett, the same people that were with him the night of May 21st, 2016. The court, why is that relevant? Mr. Rottenborn, our belief is that Mr. Judge and Mr. Bett lied to protect him. They're all loyal to him. So the fact that he's being sued by someone for assaulting him on a movie set, and the same two people who were conveniently there on May 21st, 2016, that's directly relevant evidence. I'll limit my questions. I won't ask him about the allegations, but I want to ask him one question. I'll say, the two people who were with you, who were your security guards the day of the alleged assault, were Jerry Judge and Sean Bett. That's the only question I'll ask him. That's relevant. Ms. Myers, that's tenuous. What happened between him and another man? The court, if he's not going to ask any other details, just that one limited question, okay? Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. The court, okay. And back to open court.
Mr. Depp, I'm not going to ask you any questions about the
things.
particulars of that lawsuit.
You just did.
But other than this, the two bodyguards who were with you,
You just
on the
did.
set of the movie on the day that's the subject of that lawsuit were Sean Bett and Jerry Judge, correct?
That's correct.
He tried to get in that he had punched somebody 2 times. He tried to get that in the question, and he got cut off pretty quick and then didn't win that objection because he's moved
Your Honor,
on.
Can we please take the exhibit?
Sure, yeah, we can take that down. Thank you.
So,
Question, the night before you were due to meet up, did you have a heated discussion on the telephone with Miss Heard about what was happening with James Franco, the scene she was doing with James Franco? Answer, I do not recall, but it is highly likely. Did I read that right?
You did.
And you suspected that Amber was having an affair with James Franco, correct? That was the reason for your argument.
Yeah, yes.
And when you got on the plane, you considered that she was also being judgmental toward you because she believed that you were inebriated and under the influence of drugs, correct?
That was a constant.
No, and I'm talking about this particular plane flight.
Well,
he's trying to get
consider that she was being judgmental toward you because she believed you were inebriated.
he's trying to get to
under the
why they were
influence of
fighting
drugs
on the plane
when
in
you got on this
Boston.
plane, correct?
Yes,
And at some point on the flight, you ended up sleeping on the bathroom floor, right?
I did.
You testified to that yesterday,
I
correct?
did.
Yes, sir.
And when you landed, you were quite ill when you landed in Los Angeles, correct?
I don't recall being quite ill. It's possible. I don't know what you're referring to.
Let's
Maybe
take
you
a
could
look
take me there.
Page, yeah, sure. Let's take a look at page 313 of your UK transcript, please.
3:30.
So they're going through the UK transcript to talk about it. So
It's on page 37 of the document.
that's helpful. Give him the page number. And I can understand if Johnny Depp, because what we heard from Depp with how he met
3:30.
Amber.
Ms. Myers, may we approach, Your Honor? The court, you may approach for a second. Sidebar. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, this is testimony concerning text messages between Mr. Deuters and Amber Heard. So whatever these questions are, I can't imagine that they're proper impeachment. Mr. Rottenborn, Your Honor, it's his testimony. I'm going to start on line 14. Quote, were you sick when you arrived back in LA or were you sick on the plane? End quote. He says, quote, clearly, Mr. Deuters is sending these texts to Miss Heard, end quote. I must have been quite ill, or quote, I must been quite ill, end quote. Miss Myers, he's referring to a text message, Mr. Rottenborn. He's testifying that he was quite ill. He's not testifying to the content of the text messages. It's his testimony. He's relying on something to base his belief that he's quite ill. He testified under oath, quote, I must have been quite ill, end quote. This isn't improper use of hearsay document. The court, no, it's in the impeachment part. Mr. Rottenborn, he testified yesterday that all he had was the court. I understand that, Mr. Rottenborn. You understand that. The court, that was impeached by the text. Mr. Rottenborn, well, I can refresh his recollection of indiscernible impeachment. He said, I don't recall. The court, the first reference is fine, but I don't see this as impeachment. Miss Myers, you're sorry. Your Honor, I'm sorry. The reference to the text messages is between Mr. Deuters and Miss Heard. The court, you just have to read it. You don't read it, he reads it. That's how you refresh the memory. Mr. Rottenborn, that's fine. The court, yeah, have him read it and say, does this refresh your recollection? Miss Myers, thank you, Your Honor. The court, And then it looks like they continue questioning here.
So even if she was cheating, we don't know that in this trial. That's not been presented to the jury. We don't know.
Does that refresh your recollection that you were quite ill when you landed in Los Angeles?
It might refresh his recollection that he said it.
Doesn't refer to me being ill on the plane.
That's not the question he asked, though. That's fair.
We'll get to the plane ride in a few minutes.
Oh, I thought we just did.
Let's turn to Exhibit 236.
No, you're not done yet.
Defendant's Exhibit.
So I'm just, what are we doing? I mean, I get that they want to get to the plane.
Got a mess going on over here.
Let's look at page 333 of your transcript.
And he was talking about his statements being a painting. It's the way you paint a picture. That's
day 2.
And that's going to come up on redirect. But again, if they need to hammer on the things that are serious, not the things that are hyperbolic, and distinguish between the two, because if you treat everything as literal, it takes away the weight of everything. So.
Your Honor, may we approach, please?
Okay.
This is day 2. This is from the UK trial. Yes, we seem to be there a lot. Miss Myers, Your Honor, may we approach, please? The court. Okay. Sidebar. Miss Myers, Your Honor, I'm anticipating where they're going, and I just don't think this is proper impeachment testimony. Mr. Rottenborn, he just said he wasn't in a blackout. The court. He just said he wasn't in a blackout. Miss Myers, he says apparently yes. The court. But parts of the flight, I blacked out. Mr. Rottenborn, is there any reason why you said this and it is not true? Probably not. Then he goes on about how he exaggerates. It's direct impeachment of the question. The court. It is going from Mr. Rottenborn, 1813. The court, 1813. All right, open court.
You were asked a question, but parts of that flight are blacked out. Answer, apparently, but yes, apparently that is what I'm saying to Mr. Bettany. Question, yes. Is there any reason why you would say that to Mr. Bettany if it were not true? Answer,
30 minutes until lunch.
Did I read that right?
You did.
In a transcript after the fact.
Exhibit 243.
This will all come in and redirect, which means I think he's going to be on the stand through the day Monday as well.
You know what? Let's go to Exhibit 221.
Because they will redirect this. You can see the size of his binder that's probably a binder just
Your
for
Honor,
Depp.
This is a recording, and I'd be happy to read. We're going to play three excerpts from it.
Okay,
all right.
no
We love a recording.
Audio recording coming in, is that correct?
May we approach? I would just like to know what it is first.
Miss Myers, may we approach? I would just like to know what it is first. The court. Okay, sure. Sidebar. Miss Myers, I want to make sure. Mr. Rottenborn, it's the plane ride recording. Oh boy. Miss Myers, I think we were maintaining an objection on authentication on that one. The court. The previous motion in limine on this one. Miss Myers, I'm sorry. The court. Was that the motion in limine? Miss Myers, that one was not. The court. Is this a different one? Miss Myers, yes. Court. Okay, all right, so authentication is the objection. Mr. Rottenborn, I mean, he's testified about it in the UK. He will, at least if he testifies consistent with the UK, he will say it's from a different time. But I don't think he disputes. I'll have to check the transcript, but there wasn't a dispute. It was his voice, right? Miss Myers, I'm not disputing that that's his voice, but dispute as to whether it has been manipulated in any way and when it's actually from. Mr. Rottenborn, that's the first I ever heard of that. They haven't made any motion that the tapes were manipulated. They can ask him about that if they think it was manipulated. Miss Myers, we're maintaining an authentication objection right now. Mr. Rottenborn, she just admitted that he testified it's his voice on the audio or video or audio, the court. So I guess at redirect you can. I'm not sure what questions you're going to ask about that. So are you objecting to it coming in, period, because of authentication? Ms. Myers, yes. Mr. Rottenborn, while admitting that it's his voice, the court, well, I guess that goes to the weight of it, so you can do it on redirect. Ms. Myers, okay. The court, we'll let that in. Ms. Myers, thank you. The court, okay.
They're trying to change how it is, and he's like, this is how I see it. And
Your
that's
Honor,
not a blackout. It's different.
We would offer the full Exhibit 221 into evidence with the following 3 excerpts to be played. The first is the start of the audio.
It'll be interesting to hear
1 minute.
What we see.
Just the first full minute. And then 2:50 through 3:20.
Dawn,
2
our
minutes and
mods have
50
been
seconds
amazing.
through 3:20.
We're all a little exhausted today.
And then 9:30 through 10 minutes.
All right.
Please.
So 221 in its entirety in evidence, but you play those excerpts. Got it.
So Depp's trying to distinguish between an alcohol-induced blackout and being asleep. This is the plane.
And you testified
He shouldn't
on
just agree, but
Tuesday,
he does.
I guess that when you went there in
He's like, yeah,
February of 2015, you'd been off of alcohol for 18 months. You testified to that. Remember giving that testimony?
Yes.
That's just nonsense, right? We've already looked at
Thank you.
May 2014, you were drunk on that plane, and you've admitted to that.
That's not what he
That's not
said.
18 months before.
That's not what he
So that
said.
testimony that you gave when you said
Whoa,
you've
whoa,
been
whoa,
sober
whoa,
for
whoa,
18
whoa, whoa,
months
whoa, whoa, whoa. That's
before you arrived in
compound. You
February
aren't allowing the witness to
2015
answer.
was not
Objection.
true, correct?
Objection.
May we approach?
Your Honor.
What's
I mean-
the objection?
He's testifying, Your Honor.
Agreed.
It's a compound. Could you just do maybe one question?
Maybe just the one question instead of a rambling stream.
Mr. Depp, you had not been sober
Though they do need to object
off of alcohol
with
for
the
18 months
legal
before you went
grounds
to
for
Australia in
objection
February
first.
2015, correct?
There we go. One at a time.
It's possible that it was not 18 months. Maybe it was 17. Maybe it was 16. Maybe.
It was actually a lot less than that because at a minimum, you were drunk on that plane flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014.
He never said he was drunk on the flight.
Sir, I said that I had had a glass of champagne and I had taken a double dose.
He's maintained
of
that he
the
was not drunk on that
narcotics, of the
flight. In
opiates.
fact, they
That's
keep
a
saying
very
he was
different
drunk.
thing from being drunk.
He keeps saying
and
he
a very
wasn't.
different thing from what you texted Paul Bettany, correct?
Again.
Okay. So
He didn't answer.
You
I would object and say allow
the
him to
Boston
answer.
flight was in May 2014. You go to Australia.
It's
in
interesting
February
in the
of
last 15 minutes, he's getting spicy right when the
having
attorney knows
testified
he's
that
going to
you
get a
were off
break.
alcohol for 18 months. Now,
That's interesting.
when you went to Australia
Nope, that's compound.
in February of 2015, you also lied to the cast insurance company that was insuring you for Pirates 5, didn't you?
Oh. About what?
After she cut my finger off?
No. Well, that's your account of it, sir. Before you went to Australia, let's do it this way. Let's pull up Exhibit 5.
Let's do it this way. Let's ask a clear fucking question so we know what you're talking about. I want to know what he lied about. What are we saying he lied about? I'm curious. And I agree. He keeps saying Rottenborn keeps saying you said you were drunk, and he keeps saying actually that's exactly what the fuck I didn't say.
Mr. Depp, you see this as it's called a cast insurance medical certificate, correct?
Yes, I see that. Yes.
Okay.
Your
And
Honor.
the date of the
Your Honor, what the fuck?
Before we go any further, we'd ask to be able to see this entire document.
Uh-huh.
I'm just asking about the top of it. I'm
Nope.
happy
That's
to
not
see
how that
if
works.
there's specific parts I'm going to ask him about, but if they want to scroll through it, that's fine.
Look at
It's
him.
unclear whether.
But if we need to look at the whole thing.
Just appreciate the courtesy of being able to see the entire document.
Uh-huh.
That's fine, Your Honor. I mean,
All
I'm going to direct him to certain
shush.
parts of it, but that's fine if they want to.
That's fine if they want to look at the
trying to
entire
make
exhibit.
one.
Yes, they do. Of course they want to look at the whole exhibit. And that's fair of them to take a pause and say, we want to see what you're impeaching him with. We want to see what this is. That's fair.
I have a hard copy if you'd like to look at that.
Some of that might
I'd
be
like to see page
strategic.
3.
If I may approach, Your Honor, that would be. It's.
No, don't cut the
I'm
mics.
confused. What?
They just scrolled to the last page, so we can just view it here. Thank you.
Michelle, can we just get to the page that we're talking about? So his attorneys,
Thank you. Sorry.
it might be strategic.
Go, Mr. Rottenborn. Your question?
Yes, I do. Mr. Depp, this is your signature on the page of the document being displayed here, correct?
That is.
And it's dated February 11th, 2015?
Okay.
Correct.
Your Honor, with the understanding that if the exhibit for the court will have to redact signatures, I'd move for admission of this document and permission to publish.
What is it? Insurance?
Your Honor, may have some medical information, so at this time, we'd like an opportunity to ensure. This is an insurance form with medical information. I just want to make sure we're not publishing anything.
Exactly.
Your Honor's been clear that anything that comes into evidence in this case will be published to the jury, whether it's
Well, there may be
confidential or
irrelevant
not.
medical information that Your Honor has already ruled is not admissible.
In the motions in limine. Fair.
Approach. Please come
That's fair. That's fair.
The court, approach. Please come here. Get over here, kids. Sidebar. The court, we have already gotten medical records in from both sides. I said I wouldn't put them on the web, but they're evidence in this case. Medical records in this case are already in evidence. Ms. Myers, I understood Your Honor to have granted at least a portion of our motion in limine to exclude irrelevant medical information. We just want to make sure, Mr. Rottenborn, if you're worried about VD, then take a look at page 2. I'm happy if they want to take a look really quick at that page. I'm only going to ask about, not asking about anything that's subject of the motion in limine. If they want to look through it, the court, to redact it, Mr. Rottenborn, I'm not going to ask about anything related to that, and I won't do it for anything other than what I'm asking about, which is the drug use things. Drug use things. The court, I guess I agree redactions before it comes into evidence, that's fine. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm trying to keep the flow from being broken up. The court, I understand. Mr. Chu, I guess he's jumped in at this point. We've had the court, yeah, I'm getting a little frustrated too with having to look at things for the jury's time. I'm getting very frustrated. Mr. Rottenborn, I agree. The court, can you just pick the one part you want to have published? Can you ask him about it and we get it into evidence later? Mr. Rottenborn, I'd like the jury to see it. I'd like the jury to see the part where his signature and where he said he hadn't used drugs in the last 12 months. The court, can we just open that? Mr. Rottenborn, sure. The court, let's do it that way just to make it quicker. Ms. Myers, okay. Mr. Rottenborn, that's fine. Thank you. Back to open court.
So it seems that this is an insurance contract for his insurance on the movie, but they are somehow trying to prove that he lied on an insurance form. And the only reason I'm getting that is because he got it in the first part of the question. So let's see what happened. We're all waiting. We want to know what happened. What's happening? They seem to think a gotcha moment's coming.
Michelle,
So let's
scroll down again.
wait and see what it is.
Okay. Your Honor, these redactions were on here before I'm told before we got the document, so no issue there. And then we would propose to just redact the, if you go up one page, I don't
know why they're talking about the proposed redactions on the record when they just had a sidebar, but okay.
And if you want us to redact the first three lines, M, N, and 2, that's fine too.
I like that they can do
those, Michelle.
I like that they can do the redactions in court. I'm assuming Michelle is one of their paralegals because she is the one doing
I'm
the
just trying to move
redactions.
this along as quickly as we can, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we looked at your signature, Mr. Depp. If scroll down, please, Michelle. 2 more pages. There's your signature, and then this is it's an insurance form for your that the studio Disney
I'm
took out
fascinated.
for you.
Very
filming
common.
Pirates 5.
By the
correct?
way, there's going to be insurance.
I guess so, yes.
Okay. And you see the role here. It's listed as Captain Jack
I
Sparrow.
don't want
Johnny
him
Depp,
to just
coverage
agree.
status, full coverage, effective date February 11th, 2000.
They're redacting out the amounts.
Right.
I see that.
And you're aware it's not uncommon for studios to want to ensure.
Not all of this is
actors that are
HIPAA. We'll
playing
talk
in the
about
movie
why it's not
in case something
HIPAA
happens, right?
later. This is not.
It's happened for
common.
30 plus years for me.
Correct.
Yes or no?
So if you can scroll up.
We'll
please.
talk about why it's
And
not
in order
HIPAA.
to do that, you have to provide certain information to see if you're insurable, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's the information he
And in this
provided, and we're going to
document,
get
which
to
you
that.
signed, dated, I believe, February 11th.
I think their cadence is
you
going
were
to get broke
asked
up at
the
lunch, though.
question, are you currently using, or in the last
This is
12
why.
months, have you used any of the following? Michelle, let's unredact the, there's section B is illegal substances, whether prescribed by a physician or not. and you check the box.
I don't
to the
see
right.
that.
Michelle, could you?
It doesn't say, where's it? Oh, that down here, illegal substances, whether prescribed.
That.
Where does it, what's yes and what's no?
Column, so we can see which one is yes and which one is no.
We need to see which one's yes and which one's no.
Yeah.
If he's lying
when
there,
you were asked
where
the
else is he
question in
lying?
this cast insurance form,
There
are
we
you
go.
currently
Good job,
using,
Michelle.
or in the last 12 months, have you used any of the following? You say yes, that you've used some prescription drugs. And when in the question that says illegal substances, whether prescribed by a physician or not, you check no. Correct?
In the last
Yes.
12 months? No. Okay.
At around this time when you can take that down. Thank you. At around this time when you flew to Australia in February of 2015, you were starting to feel depressed about your role in Pirates and your acting legacy generally, correct?
I'm curious about that too. Were you?
Well, let's do it this way. Let's put up Exhibit 350.
So go ahead and take our lunch.
Let him finish the question. I was curious.
Let's go ahead and take our lunch break. Let's go to 2:10, okay? So don't talk to anybody, don't discuss the case.
So he checked yes to using prescription medication and no to using illegal substances. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like they've just taken a lunch break.
But we don't know what's going on. They just approached the bench. And so we will see. Johnny Depp's already on the stand. The judge is on the bench. The jury's not in the room, and the attorneys have all approached. And it was a bunch of them.
Mr. Chu, good afternoon, Your Honor. We actually do have a very brief preliminary matter if we could approach the court. Sure. Sidebar. Mr. Chu. Ms. Vasquez received an email with an exhibit that Mr. Ronborn used on cross. Ms. Vasquez, unredacted. Mr. Chu, unredacted. Has Mr. Depp's phone number on it. Ms. Vasquez. So we understand that Ms. Heard's side is working with a public relations firm and the court. Is it on social media? Ms. Vasquez. No, it looks like a scanned-in copy, Your Honor. Mr. Chu, it's from a binder. Ms. Vasquez. It looks like it's scanned from a binder. It's clearly, but the problem here is it was an exhibit that was used by Mr. Rottenborn on cross, and it has our client's phone number and has obviously their client's email if she still uses that. The concern here is we understand that perhaps Ms. Heard's side is working with a public relations company to, once exhibits are admitted by Your Honor, to push them out to the media. The problem here is this is an inadvertent disclosure before Your Honor admitted this exhibit. It looks like it might be. It was just sent to me this afternoon while we were on lunch by a fan or somebody saying hi from the UK. Not sure if this is supposed to be a contained telephone number. The court. It wasn't our court files because we haven't. Ms. Vasquez, no, but I don't know where he obtained it. But it's clearly an exhibit that's never been utilized until during cross-examination today. The court. I'm not. Do we know if any of your team or any Mr. Rottenborn? I don't know. The court. Who's been involved in that? Ms. Bredehoft. I don't think anyone from our team is involved. I don't know the answer to this question. The court. The question is, what they're saying is, I guess, you've got some kind of public PR team that gets the evidence out. Ms. Bredehoft, yeah, we're not actively working with them. The court. But they have all of your exhibits? Ms. Bredehoft, I don't believe so. Ms. Vasquez, we understand they do. Ooh, the court. Yeah, you need to look into it and find and see what's going on because there's a lot of redactions going on. I mean, I don't even have that exhibit yet because it's owed to me for redactions. So it sounds like she doesn't even have the exhibit, but now somebody in the public already has it. Ms. Bredehoft, I don't know what it is. Mr. Chu, Mr. Chu, we can show you what it is. Ms. Vasquez, it is the one he was just showing Mr. Depp. Ms. Bredehoft, we will look into this, Your Honor. We were not aware of anything. The court, yeah, okay. Ms. Vasquez, it was used in cross-examination today. Ms. Bredehoft, indiscernible cross-examination. The court, I know, but I'm not sure where it's coming from. I think that the main thing is that I don't know what this PR firm is doing. I don't think any evidence should be going out except that's why we did it on the official court site, so they shouldn't be giving out evidence. So many things are redacted. Mr. Chu, it may not come in at all. The court, so if that's, Ms. Bredehoft, totally understand that. The court, that train has to stop if it's rolling. I'm not sure if it is. Ms. Bredehoft, totally understand and we agree. I have another. Mr. Rottenborn has agreed. He intends to bring in 581 and 582 this afternoon. The court, I don't know what that is. Ms. Bredehoft, they're audio tapes. The parties have agreed that all the audio tapes can come in full. These are the two. Ms. Myers, can we clarify that to the extent that it's just Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard are on the audio tape? Ms. Bredehoft, I didn't understand that was the Mr. Chu. Mr. Chu, yes, you did. Come on, Elaine. Ms. Bredehoft, but in any event, Your Honor, this is 581 and 582. She just ignores him. These are between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, but we wanted to disclose these are the two that are just partials. We could never find the full. We said that we were still looking at the time of the motion in limine. Your Honor denied the motion to try to exclude them. We went back when we inherited this case 2 years ago. We inherited 1.3 million documents database. We had that completely searched and had IT people completely search it. We have not been able to find anything but partials on both, but those are partials and we claim partials here, but we don't have the full report. We've done everything we can to try to find it. Ms. Myers, I think we need to start with indiscernible, the court, but can you also redirect on it? That's fine. That's fine, but those recordings are just the two of them? Ms. Bredhoff, correct. That's correct. The court, there's no other people. Now we are all on the same page that ones with other people aren't coming in. Ms. Myers, we have not made an agreement. Ms. Bredhoff, we haven't done anything. The court, well, the issue is out there, right? That we're going to get resolved, right? Mr. Rottenborn, so I didn't hear all of that. Can I use them? The court, you can use them and your objection is noted. Ms. Myers, thank you. The court, all right, let's go ahead and get the jury. So I'm wondering if this is the plain recordings where this came up later on when Amber takes the stand and there was this discussion about other people's voices and this whole kerfuffle about, I guess it ended up being Jerry Judge's voice, and they were discussing that. And then they actually remembered that they had already talked about this weeks earlier, which would have been right now. So anyway, that all makes sense.
So we are back now to cross-examination.
And this is a text that you sent to Mr. Deuters on March 6th, 2015.
I don't know why they just dropped the insurance. Maybe they thought they were done with it and they're going to argue it in closing.
Yes.
You have never, and I know Ms. Heard will give her account of this incident later in the trial. Just to be clear, you have never seen Amber inflict harm on herself or on her arms or anything like that, correct?
Objection compound.
Sustain.
You've never seen Amber inflict harm on herself.
That depends on your definition of harm, sir.
Stop there. Let him rephrase.
Broad word.
Stop there and let him rephrase. There's writing from both of them.
Pull up your UK testimony.
And he admits to it.
434.
He doesn't seem to care about Depp's answers on the stand. He seems to care more about getting into the UK testimony, which is interesting because you've got the live witness there in front of the jury. Anything he says live is going to be more impactful on the jury than what this old testimony is from the UK. So it's interesting that he just tries to ask the question to get some answer and then not even follow up with another question, but then just go into the UK testimony. It's very odd to me.
Sidebar. Ms. Myers, I'm just curious as to which portion, because this is all the court, which, Mr. Rottenborn, line 25 and then to 435. Ms. Myers, I apologize. The court. No, that's okay. Open court.
Are you,
You've got
you
a live witness.
On page 434.
Rely on them.
434, okay. Yes.
And in the UK trial, were you asked this question and did you give this answer? Question, you have never seen her inflict harm on herself, on her arms or anything like that during the time you were with her? Answer, no, no. Did I read that right?
I don't see it on page 434. Can you
got to go to the top of page 435. So
he's definitely not new. He wouldn't be doing this if he was.
Okay.
Yeah, so the bottom of page 34, question, you have never seen her inflict harm on herself, on her arms, or anything like that during the time you were with her. And then the answer at the top of page 435 is no, no.
You're welcome.
Did I read that correctly?
You did.
Thank you. So let's play it one more time because I think I left out the word that. It says the day that I chopped my finger off.
They're talking over each other, and that's very tough.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
Now we're talking about Australia. Okay.
I'm not so sure. In fact, earlier you had quoted Jerry Judge from the airplane tape is calling me an asshole. Wait till the asshole falls asleep. And I'm positive that those words never left his mouth because he would have, if I would have been making those noises in the bathroom, he would have ripped the hinges off.
Maybe they left his mouth when you were passed out, sir, respectfully.
Oh.
Let's listen to this one more time.
Yeah, move to strike.
Yeah, strike that shit.
I'll move to strike. All right. Next question.
Wow.
I just wanted to play this video one more time.
Attorney's getting argumentative.
Mike, you're talking about, I don't know.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that.
Now we're talking about Australia. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we can move on. Let's bring up Exhibit 380, please.
380?
This is another recording, Your Honor. I don't know whether it's been admitted into evidence yet.
Rottenborn is getting a little rattled, I think.
Or defendant's 380?
I believe it's defendants. I left my cheat sheet.
Okay. Thought it was an easy question.
I'm sorry. It's
Okay, 380.
I had it written down and
that I'm not super prepared. That's just me being snarky. You don't want to leave your cheat sheet anywhere. He probably left it in the room they were having lunch.
They both 380.
Plaintiff's 380.
Plaintiff's 380. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I don't know if that's in evidence or not. Is plaintiff's 380 in evidence? No. So you're offering 380 before we hear it. Can we put it in evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd move it into evidence, and the portions that I'd like to play are 3333 through 3410.
I assume no objections. This is the audio.
As long as this is an audio recording of just Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, we have no objection.
This portion is.
This portion is.
Yes, I believe that there's other portions that involve other people, but as best I'm aware, well, actually, no. May we approach?
What is happening?
No, may we approach, because I think, oh dear. Sidebar, Mr. Rottenborn. I think this one is like the plain one. It's a long video. Oh, is this the 5-hour one? I think it's a long video that was long audio from Australia. Mr. Depp wasn't present for most, but the portion that I'm going to play is just Mr. Depp yelling. The court, here's the problem. Now we're not putting this whole audio into evidence because there's other parts that people might object to, right, Mr. Rottenborn? I mean, it's just like, sure, I mean, that's fine. But it's just like the plain thing we did earlier. The court, I have to keep a clean record, okay? Mr. Rottenborn, I understand. The court. So I can't, if we're not putting the full audio in, I didn't mind the other ones, but that was putting the full audio in. But if you're just putting one part of it in, I just have to make it clear for the record. I just need that audio clip to go with the record. Mr. Rottenborn, let's just do that. Ms. Myers, I think I know this is the 4-hour, funny. Keep reading, Chelsea. 4-hour Australia recording. Are you sure? Has this been the court? You're suggesting it's just the two of them or other people, Mr. Rottenborn. There's definitely other people in other parts, but I think the only part I'm playing, I think it's just him. There's other voices, you can't hear anything, but it's him making a bunch of noises and yelling. Ms. Myers, is there no actual statements? Mr. Rottenborn, I think there are. The court, well, then why don't we go ahead and take our afternoon break and you both can play it. I'd rather do that than hear it and then all of a sudden it's the wrong one. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm sorry for that. The court, that's okay. Just want to make sure. Trying to get a clean record. Ms. Myers, thank you. And then looks like they're going to take their break here.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to work out an issue with one of the the audio
Break.
recordings. So
We're
we'll
gonna
go
go
ahead
to
and take
break.
our 15-minute
Yep.
recess for the afternoon, okay? Do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay?
Ms. Bredoff, Your Honor, may we approach briefly before we take a break? The court, okay. Sidebar, Ms. Bredoff, Your Honor, I have verified with the PRP, so this is regarding the email kerfuffle with unredacted information. Your Honor, I have verified with the PR people. They have not released anything today, much less anything that would be an exhibit. They have never released anything that was not already in evidence, which means whatever was on Ms. Vasquez's phone has nothing to do with us, the court. Okay, Ms. Bredoff. And the allegation, and what's bothering me is then they release these transcripts, and these people have been getting transcripts every day. They release them to the press. They're making unfounded allegations about Mr. Chu. What are you talking about? Ms. Bredoff, our legal team, suggesting we're releasing things, suggesting that other people are releasing things. And I'm very, very offended by it. Your Honor said we need to verify it before we come up to this bench, and there's been an allegation. Our legal team had something to do with this, Mr. Chu. That's not what we did. The court, I think they wanted to make sure it was clear, and then you went back and you made sure. I don't think anybody's taking this, that there was anything, Ms. Bredoff. It did not come from us at all. The court, that's fine. That's been verified. That's fine. That makes sense. I just want to make sure, like you said, that no evidence gets out there from anybody until Ms. Vasquez. As I stated, it also had Ms. Heard's email address. The court, no, I know. That's why I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. That's happening. That's fine. So I don't know where it's coming from, but I can tell you that I know Planet Depots has been getting people can pay for the transcripts, anybody can do it. So the transcripts are getting out. It could be anybody paying for them, and they'll take anybody's money. Ms. Vasquez, Your Honor, is this the court's website? It appears to be. Court, it's really weird. That's the court's website. Ms. Vasquez, so if I may, just to show you. So under today's date, these are the exhibits, and that's the one. The court, see, it might be, have you downloaded anything today on the court? Have you downloaded the exhibits on the court website? Ms. Vasquez, that might be. The court will take a look. We'll take a look. Ms. Bredoff, I'm just glad. The court, all right, thank you. So Ms. Bredoff is both glad and offended, apparently. Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. The court will take a recess until 3:40. All right, thank you. Bailiff, all rise, and then they take the recess. The bailiff, all rise. Please be seated and come to order. The court, if you can approach for a moment. Sidebar. The court, okay, so that was Exhibit 325, and that was the one that at first you had redactions on it. They said we wanted to see it without redactions, and you said we have no objection to the unredacted version. So that's what you put up, that's what you posted, and that's what was put into evidence, Mr. Chu. So the court, I can't put any blame on anybody here other than that's what we had, that's what was in evidence, and what's went up on the website. We have taken it down. Now, if you want to give us a redacted version of 325, we'll replace it. Ms. Bredoff, the identifiers, yeah, the court, whatever you want to do. The only one that didn't have a redaction by it. You guys owe me a lot, by the way, but now we'll do the 325 redacted, okay? Mr. Chu, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bredoff, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. The court, all right, we've got that taken care of. All right, are we ready for the jury? Mr. Rottenborn, yes, Your Honor. The court, okay. And then jury enters.
Can you pull up defendant's exhibit 159, please? 159. Mr. Depp, what I'm going to ask you about is the second text down. It's the text from you to someone named Sis, who I think you testified was, you said at first it was Christi, but I think you then testified that it was
you
Whitney,
said it was Christi,
correct?
and then he said it was Whitney. No.
Sis is always Whitney. I call my sister Christi something else, another nickname.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move for this is a text from you to Whitney on March 9th, 2013, correct?
What am I supposed to see? I'm sorry.
The second
we've all forgotten what you've asked. Rottenborn.
Text from you
what are you talking
Whitney,
about?
dated March 9th, 2013.
Yes, I see that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission
He
of
may be, he may
this
not be.
Exhibit 159 with that text and then the second and third text
Thank
from
you,
the
Persephone.
bottom, please.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Sidebar. Ms. Myers, I have no objection to the portion of the text message at the top submitted on the court at the top. Ms. Myers, yeah, submitted on March 9th, correct? Mr. Rottenborn, Ms. Myers, the text at the bottom are from a different time period. I'm just not sure of the relevance. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm going to ask him about it later. Those are the three things that I may not use in my cross. I just wanted to do it all now. The court, but you're not going to ask him questions on that right now? Mr. Rottenborn, what's the date on the second? The court, May 12th. Mr. Rottenborn, yeah, I probably will not ask him about those right now, but I don't want to come back up and do it. The court, let's do the one that's published right now. Mr. Rottenborn, okay, sure. Ms. Myers, thank you, Your Honor. Back to open court.
Do we have a date for this?
This video?
That's your house
illegally
list.
recorded tape.
Objection, move to strike.
Do we have a date or metadata or anything on it?
Why don't we?
That's a good question.
Since you have some questions about it, why don't we watch it again?
Oh, I've
Play
seen
it
it.
again,
I
Mr.
mean,
Michelle.
It's been widely available
You know
on
what?
the internet.
We don't have to do that.
No, that's good.
We're going to fast forward in time.
And the jury will
a
get to
little bit, Mr.
decide
Depp.
if she was trying to block the camera from his view.
I'd like to direct your attention to
He's wearing tinted
third
reading
text down.
glasses, much like myself.
text message from you
Probably
to your
keep from
sister
getting a headache.
on June 4th, 2016.
Yes, sir.
You see that?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
What's the relevance?
Yes, what is the relevance? We'd all like to know. We're waiting on the edge of our seat. Don't turn off the mics. We want to hear the sidebar.
Sidebar, Mr. Rottenborn. Mr. Rottenborn, the relevance is the same relevance we've had all throughout and continues. I mean, it's a couple days after the restraining order. Same relevance that you remember. I don't want to use the words if I don't have to. Remember the Honda Civic? That was after the court. Honda Civic? Mr. Rottenborn, corpse. You want to see a corpse decomposing in a Honda Civic. Court, I just don't see the relevance of this for this defamation case. Mr. Rottenborn, definitely going to be, okay, I won't argue with you on this one. The court, okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Mr. Rottenborn, I'm sorry, but I will seek to get it in Miss Heard's case. The court, well, I'm not there yet. Just right now, I don't see the relevance. Mr. Rottenborn, I just didn't want to seem like the court. Right now, I'll sustain for relevance. Thank you. Open court.
No. But we do our best. We're on subscribers mode. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Join the chat.
That you sent to.
We want to cut down on the
Isaac Baruch. Correct.
Yes, and I'll just say that I'm not proud of any of the language that I've used.
We like Isaac.
Anger.
Your Honor, I move for admission of just this page of this exhibit.
What's in the texts?
Your Honor, we object on relevance.
If you want to approach, let's do
Your Honor, it's like totally relevant. I'm sorry, the scoff was just too much for me.
Sidebar. Mr. Rottenborn, Your Honor, this is the filing which it's totally relevant. The time frame doesn't matter. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, this is after she has made allegations of abuse against him. This is months later. The court, that doesn't matter. Mr. Rottenborn, it's already been admitted with Mr. Baruch. It's the language he uses, the way he refers to women, Your Honor. Ms. Myers, the way he refers to women, that's improper character evidence again. Mr. Rottenborn, it's not. It's not about Amber. It's not improper hearsay. I'm only trying to get the court. Wait a minute. I'm reading all of this. Mr. Rottenborn, sorry. Court, okay. I'll allow those two in. Overrule the objection. So you have no other text that you want? Mr. Rottenborn, no. The court, okay. Back to open court.
With the redactions are coming in.
You can tell her what redactions you're doing.
Sure. Just those middle two texts, please.
So I guess we'll see what comes in. Season 8.
Publish this.
I'll take Rottenborn over Umbridge any day. A huge shout out to the mods for writing.
Mr. Depp, these are two texts that you sent to Isaac Baruch. The jury's heard from on October 17th, 2016 and October 18th, 2016. Can you just read for the jury that first text?
Good. They're having him read the text.
You'd like me to read that?
Yes, please.
It's more.
Sure, Mr. Rottenborn.
It's more.
Is the slippery whore that I donated
it's more
my
powerful.
jizz to for a while staying there?
And can you please read the text under that, please?
Certainly.
Warning.
I'm not sure I sent that text, but.
Well, I'll read it. You say.
No, I'll read it. It's fine if you'd like to hear that.
I'll go ahead and read it, sir. You tell Mr. Baruch on October 18th, 2016, hopefully that cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing in the fucking trunk of a Honda Civic, 2 exclamation points. Did I read that right?
You did.
Okay, you can take that down, Michelle, please.
And this,
Your Honor, I think that might, if it's okay with Your Honor, I probably
and we're
move on to
still not
something
done
else.
with cross. No.
Next, okay, I assume you still have quite a bit cross or
a bit.
How much
not
is
exactly
a bit?
sure.
all right, but more than we could do.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we've come to the end of our week. Excuse for the weekend.
And with that, we've come to the end of week 2 of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. Johnny Depp is still on the stand under cross-examination, and it looks like there is a bit more to go.